Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens 1, and of course, Smiley's Gardens. And this is fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 331, The Wormhole. How you guys doing? How you doing? It's an amazing episode today, Smiley. I want to get that off my chest right out the get, man. Great episode, man.
And don't hold that weight.
I don't know how you keep sourcing these amazing guests, but you do.
Oh, dude, Josh is cool as shit, man. Honestly, it's that was just one great guest I stumbled across, really. So doing some cool shit, and I actually came across him for a different reason, but yeah, it's cool. That's just great about the community, man. There's a plethora of people out there doing cool shit, you know.
That's for sure. I've actually tossed around today, throwing the show on Vimeo, which was another platform like this, but I guess it's kind of like Twitch as well. But I'm considering throwing the show up there as well, trying to spread this out as far as I can. You know what I mean? To open up the community as far and as wide as I can. You muted. Still muted.
That was like $1 in the jar. That wasn't even a quarter there. You had to say it twice. I'm all messing around in chat, not even realizing. That's funny. I forgot what I was even fucking saying. Oh, some shit. Gotta love it.
Makes me feel better.
You're not the only stoner.
I am uploading that, Jack, right as we speak, that trailer. I think I'm going to make that like the header on my page, so that comes up like the first thing you see is that commercial for the show.
That's badass. Godzilla.
It is.
Am I the astronaut that farts, though?
Is it the astronaut? I actually didn't see the astronaut until like the second run. I actually thought it was her that farted. I was like, that's funny.
That would have been better yet.
That's so funny. Jack Greenstock in chat. How you doing, man? Lucky Mike. I didn't even change his name in the shout-outs list. I just know it's Lucky Mike. I mentally changed it. All right. I need to bring up another window here to see if I can figure out what's going on the YouTube there with that video while we're talking.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. Only shows 15 seconds.
Lucky Mike, it's on my Instagram right now. I'm working on posting it up. It says it's ready to be watched.
It is, yeah. YouTube. I watched it on YouTube already. I gave thumbs up to it just a minute ago. So it's posted.
Yeah, it's posted.
It's nice too.
Man, I'm hoping that that shit posted. Man, YouTube says I'm already up to 988 videos.
It's 12 more to go.
I don't.
It's only 12 more to go.
It's only saying 15 seconds. The only thing I can think of is for some reason, maybe when you got the helms, did you like, I don't know, try to bring up the page and maybe you hit. Well, no, because
you watched
the only options up. Yeah, the only options in the box are view link and then stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop stream, live stream. That didn't happen. You could have clicked yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck the deal is.
Gotta be something. Maybe it's just still uploading, like you say. Hopefully it'll
Yeah,
pop up, though. That was a good show.
Right on. I I I'm dumbfounded, to be honest with you. I don't even know how it could possibly not be there.
Yeah, we'll play it by ear, see how it goes. Hopefully, I don't know. Cause I'm sure Intergalactic's gonna want to share that with his friends and stuff too. You know.
Right, right. Yeah, it's already saying I can download the 15 seconds. But
Thanks. Fumble through the stupid intro, right? That's funny.
that is really weird. Cheers, everybody in chat. There's Jack Greenstock waiting. I didn't even see me. I get my live chat on.
The live chat, top chat. Don't get stuck in the
What's
top.
up, Jack?
How's it going?
Wasn't top.
What's up?
Just give me a second. I'll get my video going here. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good, good.
Wednesday night.
I missed the organic takeover tonight. I was having dinner with Lady Greenstock, and by the time I looked, I couldn't find it on the YouTube.
Yeah, that's what we're running across, Jack. It didn't. It posted only like 15 seconds, and we don't know why.
That's what I was trying to figure out myself.
Yeah, it's weird. Because people watched it live, so it's not like. Unless, I don't know. Hopefully, I didn't screw something up, closing it out or something.
I think it'll show up
Usually
somewhere.
usually it transfers over nice and easily, but I don't know what the heck happened tonight.
Yeah,
It's just cool.
it's a cool concept, man. I think especially if a lot of other bigger cities too, like Detroit, start. If there's places in other states and other big cities that are doing something similar, you know what I mean? That whole movement could spread. Pretty cool.
I think last night was a great episode too with Chef Anna with the pot.
Yeah.
Dude's got a lot of exposure. Really like the positivity and just open honesty and getting a lot of people into growing and having some success. So I'm happy for them. It was great to see them on the show. My wife knew their page from a long time ago. We've seen them giving away weed at Walmart and growing the plant on their desk at work, and just a great watching last night.
That was one of my favorite parts, to grow on the plant at your desk. That's fucking badass.
It's cool to know the inside now that like he kind of saw the writing on the wall. Like other people were getting fired around him like without warning. So he's kind of like, yeah, fucking see how long I can get away with this for. And probably would have gotten let go either way, and just played it to their advantage. Because I mean, as a marketing person, they realize that it has to be like probably one of the most viral videos or things that they've done on Instagram, I'd imagine. That and giving away the weed and cannabis and Walmart and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fill up my water. I'll be right back, boys.
Some of those are funny, the people's reaction when they fucking, hey man, you dropped this. It's like, grandma, hey grandma, you just dropped this. It's your weed. What you talking about? Like, nah, man. Someone will smell it and be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, that's my weed. Damn right. I love that shit. It's funny.
Free weed. There's nothing better than free weed, too. Nothing better than free weed.
Weed you grew is best. I think. Everybody likes their own brand.
Nothing better than free weed other than free seeds. I'm gonna start this wormhole off with a little giveaway, a little Velvet Punch F2. If you want a pack, USA only or international people, I'll have to send it to Eagle and he can take care of business for the international folks, if Eagle's open to that.
Why not?
Seemed like we had a small crowd when I jumped in. We only had like 12. I'm sure it's risen since we've been going for a little while now. People have probably found the stream and probably got a few more than that, but probably at least like 1 through 100 or 1 through 150, I'd guess.
We're still a little laggy. Only 28 hanging at the moment.
There we go.
28 still great. 28 people though. 28 great people though.
100. Yeah, 0 to
It's
1.
all good company. 0 to 100. I got a number picked out in my head already. I'm gonna type it in the Zoom chat for you guys to see.
Man, how bad did I talk about fucked up starts to the show? Did you watch the beginning of the Chef Dana one? That
Yeah, I rewatched
fucking
it.
missing Monday night had me all fucked up. First of all, I thought it was Sunday. Then I caught myself and I thought it was Monday. Then after the words left my mouth, I'm thinking, you're an idiot. It's fucking Tuesday and shit. I was totally...
Like, hope you had a good weekend. I mean, good start to your week. I mean, it didn't come across that bad.
Totally
He jumped right in and just took it over, and you guys had a great show despite that. So I think it was goofy, but at the same time, no one's gonna hold it against you.
Sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes it happens.
Oh shit!
Right.
Did we ever say start in the chat? I forgot about the giveaway.
I'm still lining it up. Yes.
Okay.
Officially start right now, guys. 1:30. Nothing counts until after the start. So if you already guessed, re-put it in there.
You guys will have to watch the chat because I'm on my phone. I can't see the YouTube chat.
Got nailed.
I
already got nailed.
Nailed.
Yeah.
Bake
Who got
with
it?
shake, baby.
Baking with shake, baby.
Are they in the US or are they international?
That's me, I believe.
Yes.
Right around me.
Oh well, hell yeah! Then tell Baked with Shake baby. DM me on Instagram or email me jackgreenstock47@gmail.com and get me your address and I'll send them out tomorrow. Get you a couple packs of Velvet Punch F2. F3s are on the way, so if you like them, I'll send you F3s if you grow them. That's the stipulation. You gotta grow the F2s first. Eagle grew the F2s. One warning is they do have the tendency to herm. I'd say light leaks are a likely cause, and also like if you don't prune the bottoms, the American one had 1 out of like 4, and that'd be like the only cause that I would imagine because they otherwise look super healthy and happy. And sometimes cookies, which is in the lineage, tends to do that if you don't defoliate the bottom parts of the plant that aren't getting as much light or airflow or whatever the case may be. If it's not if it's unhappy at the bottom, it'll start to throw nanners down there. So
Munda nuts.
From Munda nuts, exactly. That's that Girl Scout cookie. It's got some Thin Mint cookie in it, and that I'm almost positive comes directly from that genetic. People say that Thin Mint is related to the Forum cut. I think that they might be actually different strains, but both of those cuts do the exact same thing as far as that unfortunate side effect is concerned. But I will say 6 or 7 other testers have grown them out, several different phenos, and haven't had Hermes. So there's a good likelihood that you'll find some stable stuff and a lot of fire, super greasy, crazy hash producers. All of them make tons of dry sift or bubble hash. They smell like grapes and kind of fuel, gasoline. And I think by this time, everybody's probably gotten their guess in. There's only 20-ish of you here. So cheers to everybody here in the chat. I'm smoking on, I don't even remember what I'm smoking on, so I guess it must be good.
Must be good. I'm rolling up some Tuscadero. I haven't smoked it in a minute.
I'm got nothing on my tray. I don't even know where the fuck my tray is at the moment. Oh, it's right
Are
here.
you? What have you done with Eagle Gardens? Who is this imposter?
I think mine's actually cake mix crossed with Legend OG, like not the actual strains, but like a mix of both those on my tray that got mixed together.
Cheers, Richard Land. I always love seeing the new names.
Add it to the list. It's like me with my second print for 50 strains of green. I've got to make a second list because so many people are like, damn, I missed out. I didn't get a copy. Can I get one on the second print? So I got a better, more local printer. And I'm already in the process of getting that second print done. So I'm taking pre-orders already. No monetary, just like if you want one, all you need to do is DM me that you're committed. Shit, I guess I got one over there. I don't want to pour it out every single time I come on the show, but Eagle just got his. Smiley, I believe, has gotten his. And I really am proud of myself for going through the process of actually making that book happen that Smiley's holding up right there. And happy belated birthday to Eagle. I'm glad has finally arrived. It was a long time coming in the mail for him and many others in Michigan. That snow delayed shit quite a lot.
Can't thank you enough, man. I'm glad to have it in hand and honored to have it. That's for sure. That is for sure. Proud of you, brother. Proud of you. Can't wait to see what comes from the future.
I just finished picking the strains for 50 strains of purple. Finally got the 50th. It's Berry Lights is number 50. I was like looking through my list and I was like, I told Kenyo I was going to put Berry Lights in there. And I was scrolling through my photos and my camera reel, like trying to figure out some strains that I'd had recently that were purple and figuring out what strains they were. And then I realized, oh shit, I grew that. It was like on my tray, grounded up, and it was just really nice purple. And I was like, oh, that's Berry Lights. And I'm like, I went through my list and I realized, oh, fuck, I didn't add Berry Lights yet. So that took the number 50 spot. So now I got to go through and all that information that you see, like the breeder, flowering time, aroma, and all that other stuff. I have to fill that out, write my little story for each one, get all the photos, and then format. So I'm looking forward to it, though. It's fun to write.
Did you contact everybody that you put in the book there and let them know that you were in the book? They were in the book.
I should do that. I haven't, but I should do that, to be honest.
Yeah, you gotta contact them, Jack, and tell them if they want a copy of the book, they can buy one.
Well, here's the thing: a lot of them are unfortunately passed.
Oh, all right.
A lot of them.
Well, like
and
Tight's case there, I was like, man, I wonder if he knows he's in a fucking book. I think he would be honored.
I should reach out to him, and I think I'll fucking hit him up. The one thing was I had like a weird interaction with Mean Gene. Like he's like, cool, yeah, like love to be in it, and then like never really heard back from them. It's like, hey man, I need it by X amount of time, just a few photos of this strain or any information you'd like to share about it. And like after initially agreeing upon it and like me waiting for months and months, I was like, I understand he's busy. He's got better shit to do. So I featured him, but it was just like photos that I could gather myself and stuff that I found online and then my own personal experience and information on it. But big respect to Mean Gene. I mean, fucking winning Emerald Cups, he's a busy ass dude. And Smiley, I think, has got some of his work over there. The Sky Color Kush F3, I think you have a male of that you wanted to do some work with. And I would advise you to. He's got amazing genetics and has done tons of great work. But dude, the process of just getting everyone the book has been so overwhelming. I didn't think I was even going to sell 100 copies. So to sell 150 and now to have another 25 people already saying like, hey, I want one of the second print. And that was within the last 12 hours. Like I just posted earlier today, like, hey, is anybody interested? A few people have said they want, a copy that didn't get one. So I'm going to go through the process of printing more. And I thought I was going to wait until 50 Strains of Purple came out like later this year. But if there's demand, you got to fucking give it to the people, right? If people want books, they should have them in their hand.
You're on Oprah, Jack. Just wait till you get off from Oprah's show. You're going to be selling out.
Dude, I'm thinking about going on Future Cannabis Project, and they have 50,000 subscribers, and I just like, I might have an editor go through it and do like the second edition before I fucking pop on there. But Peter is he's super cool. He's had me on in the past just for random shit here and there. So I'm sure he wouldn't mind having me on, and that would probably boost sales. But I wanted to get it to my like homegrown target audience, like the people that I really connect with, that like I have a relationship with these people. Like I've helped a lot of them grow, or I hang out with them in the chat. So like my friends at this point, if I haven't met them in person, like I'm going to in the future, come visit most of you, all the international people, like I want to visit them for sure. And all the people in the US, that'll be even easier. I could drive to you, fucking make it happen. We're all gonna hang out someday. Oh, I met fucking Josh LaCroix, the dude, he had the double lung transplant. Him and Sub were close, but he came, and my wife and I got to meet his wife, and man, couldn't have been a cooler dude. Like I was stoked when I saw his episode. He seemed like just a great person, and when I met him in person, he very, very generously gifted me like 6 grams of FSO, the full spectrum oil, or RSO, some people call it, which I was not expecting at all. Like I told him, hey, like if you're in the area, I'd love to meet you, and took some. And so we ended up hanging out for a while. I showed him my grow. The lights came on like 20 or 30 minutes after he got there, and I gave him some seeds, Velvet Punch F2s, like whoever just won them. I can't remember, so make sure you DM me. I don't know if I've gotten it yet. Yeah, I haven't gotten it yet from whoever. Baked with Shake, baby.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten that DM yet, so make sure you hit me up. Or email. You might have emailed me, and I just haven't checked.
Apparently it's
I'll
nice
get some
getting
more.
punched by Velvet, so.
It's what?
I said apparently it's nice getting punched by Velvet, so.
Well, everything that's crossed the purple punch apparently has to have a punch at the end of the name. I didn't name it originally. This is my buddy Doja DNA.
True? Is that true for Banana Punch too? Because there's a few of them with punch that I don't think were purple punch line, right?
No, I think you're right. I think Med Grower used the banana punch for his whatever Eagle is growing the V2 that has the banana, if you know.
Primal Punch.
Primal Punch.
But I wasn't sure if Banana Punch was actually had purple punch in its lineage too, though. You know what I mean? Like sometimes
I think it does.
Or whatever.
I think it does. I think it's Banana OG crossed purple punch. I could be wrong.
That's cool. I'm gonna make a punch too. Just
purple punch packs so much resin, it's insane. Like it's one of the frostiest plants I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of frosty plants, but purple punch is definitely up there. I just got baked with Shake. Thank you for DMing me. I got it.
I actually just cracked some of my my first purple punch cross. So I just put them in the root riots the other day. I did that and the High Mac by Skywalker.
What was the punch cross? Purple punch cross, I'll specify.
High Mac. I took multiple High Mac males and I hit the clone of the purple punch for that. So it's kind of a range of the High Mac genetic to the one clone of the purple punch I have.
Have you ever flowered that punch, or are you just pollinating it to see what offspring you can kind of create?
I know this purple punch pretty well. I've been running it multiple cycles. But yeah, it's one I'm familiar. That was kind of my thought, Jack, is like trying to prove out males. You know, like I'm gonna hit I'm hitting 4 ones that I know. You know what I mean? I've run them a number of times. I got a good pulse on how they grow in veg, how they do in flower. So yeah, and they're pretty steady. Like the GG4, I got pretty good, understanding of what that brings to the table. The Ghost OG, the Purple Punch, and the Skywalker. So I've actually just started smoking some of the High Mac, the girl phenos that I hunted down, and I'm pretty excited, man. They could be some fire shit. So.
What was the cross on the High Mac? Is it High School Sweetheart to Mac, or?
It's High School Sweetheart to Max Stomper, and Max Stomper is Grape Stomper OG to the Mac.
Yeah. Okay.
I got that Max Stomper too. That's the one that Jeremy from Build the Soil just did his little
side by sides.
Yep. Look, fire.
He's been killing it. I really like all the stuff that he's doing. I hate to be such a fanboy, but it's hard to like dislike him. He's like showing you how to grow food in the tents. He's showing people how to grow dank in the tents. Like, do you want to do it in a 15-gallon pot, a 30-gallon pot, an earth box? Like, you can fucking do it anyway. Like, fucking not too complicated. Water only, like, or a few things here and there. And he even showed like the organic nutrient that organic's alive, like how much more you can get or what kind of differences. Big ups to Build a Soil. I got some Build a Soil shit right behind me. I got some rice hulls and some pumice, aeration. Good shit.
Yeah, it's good. No, I like Jeremy a ton, man. I actually I just kind of posted a bit of a question on one of his posts on Instagram that got a lot of attention, but I don't know. It was all good though. I thought it was all good conversation. I don't think any of it went bad. People were, back and forth, but there definitely were some different opinions about stuff, and it was cool. It was cool hearing everybody be able to communicate it and express what their opinions were and why, and that was it. It was cool.
You gotta love when people can just cordially share their opinions, and not everyone knows, like, okay, well, that's their way of doing it. That's how they feel about it. This is how I feel, and like, it's up to the people. You end up like seeing usually however many people like a certain thing. It could be they like that person or they agree with that message or whatever, but everybody's got a different way of doing it. I try different shit all the time. Like, I heard Jeff Lowenfeld say, like, don't ever remove a leaf from the plant. Like, I tried that a couple times. I heard Coot talking about not topping plants. I've tried not topping plants a bunch of times. Now, I used to think, like, fuck, why would I not top a plant? It just like immediately increases your production, in my opinion, like really quickly, and like it shapes the plant really easily. But if you just mess around with a little bit of low stress training and never top it, and it's kind of interesting. Like, I wonder, I never do a side by side because obviously, like, if you're just going to take it from seed and go low stress training the entire time through flower, you're not going to have a side by side of that versus like a topped version of it. But I don't know. It's fun to experiment with different shit always, and
you
see what
get a
works.
better feel for what happens. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really know. You can watch all the videos you want on monster cropping, but you don't really know what that stem feels like when it's ready to be bent over, and you know what I mean, when you're squeezing it until you do it enough times, then you kind of get a feel for it, and then you fuck it up and you go, oh, that ain't the way to do it. And
I still break a few here and there. I got my painter's tape nearby.
yeah,
Usually fixes it up. But
sometimes they're just a little too woodsy. They don't like to snap and bend. You know what I mean? They just break, like you had said there, Jack. Not always as easy as it seems, or what you'd expect. In the
they'll
spots
scar
that
right
you
up
need
though.
it.
They'll scar right over and heal up, and then that's always like the frostiest fucking branch, like without fail. Every time I'm like, damn, that branch like got split, and like you tie it back together with whatever. Like, you got sometimes, like, it used to be when I would top the plant, it I think Miss Nudie Grows calls it like a plant vagina, like when it fucking splits. You top it and it's going like right down the middle, and you split that stalk right down the middle. And some people like use, I don't know, pipe cleaners or all sorts of random shit to like tie it back together. But yeah, I've seen a bunch of things, and it ends up, cannabis is a resilient plant, and it ends up living through it. And often you don't even notice, like, unless you told somebody, chances are they wouldn't notice about that plant unless they like thoroughly investigate it. So it's definitely a fun plant. I'll never stop growing it. Fuck, that's for damn sure.
I just somebody did that, Jack, where they split the stem like you were talking, and then they put a gemstone in the center there, and when they taped it back up, so like, yeah, the stem was kind of like growing around this gemstone. I was like, that's gonna be kick ass when they fucking harvest that, right? Like, that'll be cool as fuck.
It will be super cool.
Yeah.
I've seen people do shit like that where they like the one dude, Savage DWC, would put like Lego guys like in the middle of like his stems. He'd like stab like a screwdriver through, and then like he'd like bust it apart and like put like a little Lego guy like hanging in there, and like all sorts of crazy shit. But yeah, the plant's super resilient. Some people swear that like increases the potency. I've seen some people go as like minimal as like a thumbtack, like thumbtacking, like just sticking it in there, or like poking a bunch of little holes all around the base of the stem, making it think it's like being attacked by a pest of some sort. I think you never know. I mean, it's always fun to fuck around, and you're spending time with the plant. While you're in there, you'll probably notice something that you might not have noticed otherwise, and potentially save your ass. which happens more often than you think. Oh, that timer's a little unplugged, so it's not spinning properly, or fucking there's a bunch of dead leaves down there that I didn't notice that I need to clean up or prune, or there's always something to do every time you look in the grow. Or sometimes just sitting in a mire with fucking sip growing, check to see if there's any water down that hole and admire your beautiful ass plants.
Yeah, you missed the show, so you didn't catch we talked about some of that watering stuff.
It's great, man. I've been loving it. Everybody I see trying it is like, dude, I'm having great results. So I'm like, hey, man, it's fucking hard to argue against it. I used to be a big top watering advocate. Like, man, it needs some level of top watering. But I'm like, now with the sips, and Green 13 even says he'll peel up his thing and like water the top to like even it out. I noticed there's pockets that like right towards the edge are a little drier. But if I reach my hand in that center, even when it's bone fucking dry, the top of that topsoil is damp, like super damp. And there's like a good hyphae and there's like living shit in there. I see the little, I think it's hypoapsis miles. They might have changed the name, but there's some other natural soil mites and shit in there. So I don't know. It just fucking works. If you get the right mix in there, like shit just works out. So, and it grows fast as fuck. Like I used to grow in cocoa, and it grows just as Eagle saw. His side by side is a really good example. The Earthbox can keep up with cocoa, and I think cocoa is one of the fastest ways to grow, like almost as fast as DWC if you do it right. And Potentonic Steve claims that they get like 3 or 4 inches of growth per day on some of their mother plants using that dual root zone aquaponics. If they're doing that, I don't know anybody getting more growth than that in any sort of situation. So they're like trying to get as many clones as possible out of their mothers. And to get that many inches of growth in vegetation, it's like pretty damn impressive, healthy plants. And every video I've seen of his operations, like they've got that real dialed in. Like that's a level above me. I like to watch their shit and like follow it loosely from the side, but I know aquaponics is probably a level I'm probably never going to venture into, but I think it's really cool to watch and observe.
It'd be interesting if it was worth the extra investment. Like I know Steve's all about it, and that's awesome. You know what I mean? We need that, but at a certain point, if there's not a noticeable benefit, like you have to noticeably be like, this is above and beyond because of the infrastructure you're going to put into trying to do that part of it, the fish. It's like, I don't know. That's a lot of extra work, a lot of extra mechanics, a lot of extra shit going on,
And that's my hang up, is you have to learn so much more knowledge that's not cannabis plant related. It's like to run a proper ecosystem in one of those tanks, like a breeder Steve, he's got like fucking crazy shit going on with his, where he has like mini alligators and shit in certain ones down in Colombia. Yeah. This dude's not alligator. I think it's some sort of other predator in there.
Cayman, is that what they're
Cayman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that he's got crazy shit. It's not just like a bunch of fish in a fucking, swimming pool, like huddled together, like fucking knocking up against each other. Like some people just do tilapia. Some people just do one fish. And like then you can sell the fish to fish markets, and there's like other side business. But like my focus personally, if like my dream grow, or like what I would go into would just be to be focusing on like the plants, keeping the plants in the soil as healthy as possible at all times, monitoring for pests, keeping the environment dialed in, making sure your equipment's all functioning properly, and just making the best selections in your pheno hunts and doing things like that. Where if I'm thinking about like what my fish are eating, that's time that I'm not spending like doing plant related objectives, in my opinion. And then, like, I think they probably grow fire. Like what he talks about with the microbial, it's more diverse than even like the worst. They always say the worst aquaponic soil is more diverse than like even the best living soil, with just traditional like land based inputs, I'll say. Yeah. So it has me curious, but also like I haven't seen in the results enough of a difference between that and like living soil grown, or even just really fucking good hydro, like, or cocoa, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. So Eagle, can we see the Earthbox plants? Or I haven't seen them and I miss them. No. Still
He's
messing.
muted.
They're barren. They're stripped right down to nothing but buds. You don't want to see them. They're stripped right down to nothing but buds and sticks.
What
You'd be like, what? What the fuck happened to my earth boxes? That's what you would think.
No, it ain't. What day are you at in flower? They got to be around 28 or
I don't know. I don't write that shit down.
Oh, that's
It's
right.
not a tester. I don't write that shit down.
We got to go back through the video journal and figure that out.
Right on.
You're
It's
like
done
mid-flower.
when it looks done. It's done when it looks done. That's what I don't.
No, I was just
It's all the
curious.
same watering process. I don't change things up for, you know what I mean, for the schedule. When I see she's coming home, I just lessen up on everything. Start watering just water. Sometimes a little bit of molasses in there as well. But I'm not writing anything down. I can tell by the look of the plant when I should start to flush.
Okay.
I sort of feel you on that. Like I have a photo and I wrote it down in my notes somewhere, but like I'm not looking at that daily. I couldn't tell you what exactly day or week or flower I'm in right now with the Velvet Punch. I'm just letting them ride. I know that they got pollinated when the male was ready and that they're not ready to be harvested yet. So what matters to me is making sure I keep that res full of good water and keep the plants happy, you know, keep the environment dialed in.
No, I understand all that. Like, I plan my next rows though, so like, yeah, I mean, like having an idea of what window time frame you're going to be looking to harvest kind of helps for
Yeah, for sure.
spacing out. Like when you know, like if you're trying to do 2 weeks in between, you want to kind of know when you're going to start the next 2 week cycle, right? Move the next.
Yeah. I've been delaying. I should have popped seeds probably a few weeks ago. I know like the actual proper timing to like get the maximum number of harvests per year. I just sometimes am motivated to start right on the right time, and other times I'm like, yeah, I'll give myself a week or two to clean up and, you know, settle and take care of the. I don't trim, but like post processing, getting all the soil prepared and taking the plants out and doing what you got to do.
I'm just reading.
I think.
They want
Oh,
to see.
sorry. Go ahead.
They want to see the naked girls.
That's funny. I was gonna say Chef Anna had a really good point about the herbs now is the DJ thing. How a bunch of people talk shit on new school DJs. Oh, you don't got any records. You're not a real DJ. You're not spinning shit. And they bust out a laptop and fucking rock a show. And like even big DJs at this point, some of them don't bring actual records. They digitally perform their entire sets. So things change, and like people at the very beginning are often like, that's bullshit. That's not the real shit. This is how we've done it for years. Like, you're not doing it right. And with the herbs now, it's kind of like it's new tech. People are gonna hate on it. Like they're gonna say it's the wrong way. And this is how we've done it for years, blah blah blah. But a bunch of people are super fucking happy with it. And I'll say this, cannabis people are like the pickiest of all people. Like with reviewing shit, they'll tell you if they don't like something. So there'd be a lot of like really, really bad reviews out there if the device really did fuck up your weed. I think like there's a few people who are like, it didn't work perfectly, or I didn't get it right just my first time. But most people are like, I fucking love this thing. Like there's like hundreds of those.
No,
Hundreds of them.
I think there's definitely benefit, Jack. Especially, yeah. I mean, a lot of that's one of the hardest parts. A lot of people struggle with is drying properly. So yeah, if you're not, you know, in a good rhythm or process of having a good dry process, that might be a really easy alternative to kind of turn to. I mean, on a bigger scale, I don't know. I don't see
Bigger scale, I agree. It's more difficult.
dry, you know.
But I'll say this, it's not even like a if you can't do it right, because like I have a curador, it keeps it 60-60. I did 2 harvests side by side where I cleared out the entire curador so I could hang dry a plant with inside the curador, kept it 60 degrees and 60 RH. Everybody says 14 days. Sometimes I push it a little longer to try and get just in that perfect window. The herbs now gets your shit ready way sooner and it, in my opinion, produced a better product. So like, instead of having to wait 14 days and then, you know, bag it or jar it and then wait another month until it's at a proper cure, I've dried it in 96 to like 115 hours, which is like 4 to 5 days, and then 1 week in the jar, cured. It's perfect. Like, it's already perfect smoke after 7 plus 5, like 12 days. So by the time the other one's still hanging, I've got perfectly cured smokable bud. And like, it's not a rush. I'm happy to wait for it if it was actually better, if it was a better product in the Curador, but it's not. Like, it's objectively not. Like, I've given it to people side by side.
Sorry, I just want to cut in here a minute and say, Eagle, what the fuck did you do to the earth boxes? I just fucking with it.
They look ugly all stripped down like that, don't they?
No,
all I can see is
man.
light.
Like, normal as shit. Yeah, you can't really see them much, but oh, you only did it to the earth boxes. You didn't do it to the other ones.
Oh no, they're back there. They're stripped out as well. Them are new girls in there next to it. There was room. You can see the other two off in Bay 1 back there, the two pots.
Yep.
Them are the two cocoa. And that's Earth Box, and then there's a few new girls in back here because there was space. I'm gonna waste the space. So there's a few girls in there. That's what you're looking at right now. They're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty
good, man. That looks normal. I de-leaf quite a bit or prune or whatever you want. I don't like the term strip. I guess I don't feel that I go that aggressive to it, because to me, strip, I have gone that aggressive, and you're fucking, I mean, that's stems and the fucking top leaf, you know. So I don't know.
I've done that, like schwazzing or fucking full on, like going crazy, like Mango Tech 2142. I personally am more of like a selective prune type. Like, if there's leaf on top of leaf, or if there's some shit down below the canopy not getting enough light, all that stuff on like the bottom, at least like 25% of the plant, I'm cleaning just bare naked, everything. Every leaf is gone, even if it's healthy, just because at a certain point, it's a good barrier for any, if there are pests, it gives you a better gap between like the soil and the plant. But also, when it's not getting enough light or photosynthesizing, it just dumps humidity into your room to have that shit on there. So it I think it was like Suzanne Justice or something, somebody out here in San Diego at like Outco, they did like a study where they actually measured the ppfd at like different points of the canopy and realized like under 200 it just starts throwing off RH. So you're better off just removing the leaf in a lot of cases if you're in a more humid environment trying to keep your RH lower, which a lot of people are using dehues. So it's just one way to avoid some of that cost.
They're just throwing vapor just to cool itself, or like, because
I don't know what the actual function or reason behind it, but they found that anything under 201, it's like not going to produce any good bud. But that would make sense. Obviously, it's not getting great amounts of light. But two, it just it's respiring or perspiring. I don't know what the proper actual term is, but it's just kicking off vapor for whatever reason. Maybe it's not getting enough light to photosynthesize, so it thinks that I'm going to go do a different process. But
photosynthesizing slow enough to where it's not really going to produce much to. Because I know at a certain point, like that leaf really has to almost overproduce, like produce an abundance to, because if you think of it, it's using that sugar, which is, I like to look at it in my mind's eye like energy, you know what I mean? Because that's really what it is, right? But
it is
using that energy from the sun to grow that leaf too, right? Because it's got to make that leaf's getting bigger and everything else. So it's got to be able to sustain its own growth and have excess to be able to, you know what I mean, to be able to pump to the rest of the system, so to speak, and down into the roots or whatever. But like, yeah, that's a big key part of that, because I think when you get really down to the nitty gritty, that's where, you know, really supporting the whole process of photosynthesis and making sure that happens as efficiently as possible is your fucking goal. You know what I mean? Like that. If you, I don't know if you ever read that book, The Goal, but it's like it's kind of a business manufacturing book. There's somebody in chat's heard of it, but but there's a lot in there about understanding, like, you know what I mean, parts of an assembly line and how things got to come together to actually make the whole system chain flow in order to accomplish the goal. You know what I mean? And that's, I don't know, just thinking of it from that perspective does kind of change your thoughts on nutrients and on CO2, on all of that shit, because it's all there to support a better photosynthetic rate. You know what I mean? A better factory that can use the light that's being already paid for and in the room to produce what your goal is, you know? So.
Beautiful plants, an abundance of them.
Right, yeah. But it's that metabolism too. Like, you know, I mean, like Michael Phelps, that example, you didn't see the show, but I use that example in the show of Michael Phelps. Like, but that's the metabolism of it too. So like, you know, if Michael Phelps is trying to swim all that and he's not eating all those calories, you know what I mean? He's basically going to be starting to eat away muscle. Your body's still using you know what I mean? It's got to get the energy from somewhere, and it's going to start breaking muscle and protein apart to do it. So,
Totally agree. You got to make sure it's got the everything it needs to produce at the highest capacity.
Yeah, and that's what will happen to a plant too when photosynthesis shuts down. It starts eating itself, because at a certain level it still needs energy to survive at a base level, even, you know. So if you did something to fuck it up, say temperatures are extremely high or whatever, like that's why plants, you know, they kind of consume themselves. They'll turn that yellow. It's like they're consuming back what what was in their leaves. So.
To the starving plants credit, or the ones that are consuming themselves, I think some of those are the tastiest plants at the end of the day. When you give a plant too small of a pot, I've grown it in like 1 gallon of organic soil just to like see how small of a plant, or like how small of a pot you could go, and grown like too large of a plant in a 1 gallon and just flowered it in there anyway and let it starve to like fucking all hell, and produces some of like the tastier herb. They call it like Ital weed in Jamaica, where some of the stuff that they don't feed anything to, they like give it very little nutrients and very little water. They just like let it stress. They kind of just leave it out wherever. And that's seen to be as like some of the most like psychoactive and like spiritual smoke. So it's an interesting kind of way of looking at things, because like the whole they say like a great grape must like be stressed or something like that. So to produce the finest wines, you have to let the grape suffer. And I think sometimes with cannabis, certain strains benefit from that slight bit of suffering, whether it's like the drought stress, which University of Guelph has actually cited a week 7 drought stress on a 9-week strain, produced higher terpenes, higher cannabinoids, and higher dry flower yield, which indicates to me, if it's anything like lavender, which I do believe it is, it's a C3 flower that produces high amounts of essential oil, which is often extracted for high dollar amounts. Lavender has the same exact phenomena. And that's why when I found out about the Guelph study, it was because I'd already heard about some related stuff. So I think what we were talking about even earlier with like stabbing your plants, like that stress, I also shake my plants. I think that is like a better fan. Like I saw a video once where a guy grew up the same clone. One was the same pot. One was with a fan directly on it, and the one was sitting there with like no fan on it. And the one with the fan on it got a thick ass stem, grew up bushy as fuck, healthy as fuck. The one that had no fan was like the shrimpiest little like tiny stem, like had way less nodes, was a much unhealthier plant. So it showed me that like airflow to a certain level definitely benefits your cannabis plant.
No, I'm partial to fans on some of mine, I think. Like I see wind damage on some of the leaves even, but I do that mainly in the veg stage because of that reason, Jack. Like I think that's why, like, you know, and you hear guys talk about certain strains or certain things being real wispy and wimpy, and some of that I wonder, it's like, well, yeah, you know, you really exercise the plant or at all when it was growing, like, You know, they got to be able to get strength somehow. It's like having a kid that you never, you know, they never play outside or they never run. You know, they're not going to be a fast runner. You get to be a fast runner by running, you know, like it's like that's how you build those muscles, you know. If the
And good genetics.
but the genetics don't really come into play until you know, put some resistance to that, you know what I mean?
No, I agree. You have to like exercise to be like Usain Bolt had the potential to be the fastest man alive, but he also fucking trained his ass off. And that's why at the time he was able to do what he did. And it's definitely an interesting thought. I want to welcome, I think it's Red Pill joining us.
Yep.
I think it is.
Howdy.
Cheers, Red Pill.
I got intrigued. I was just sitting back in the chat listening, but I got intrigued because a little bit of, I don't know, maybe it was like a week ago, I kind of brought up something where I was talking about, are there any type of deficiencies to the plant that almost benefit the end product? And what you're talking about with giving a plant almost no input, just water in a small pot, and it's almost completely faded by the time you're pulling it down, and that being like some of the better herb that you get, and then backing it up saying, that's when I jumped in. I hopped off right when you were saying that some study said that it proved.
Yeah, there's a University of Guelph study. I could send it to you. It's from Canada. They did a drought stress in week 7 until like a 45-degree leaf droop. They like show the actual screenshot of it was in cocoa actually, believe it or not. But compared to a side-by-side control where they did like a properly watered one all the way through harvest, it yielded higher cannabinoids, higher terpenes, and more dry flower. The dry flower weight was considered not significant, but it was like 1,000 grams versus like 950, which like I think all of us would say 50 grams is like significant. It's not scientifically significant, like 0.05 or greater statistically. But it the terpenes and cannabinoids were both significantly more. Like I think it was like 12 and 13% for like THC and CBD increase.
Because I'm an ultra fan of fade and getting plants to fade early. And if a plant comes down at like week 9, day 63, day 65, I like it starting to fade at like day 40. By the time it gets done, it's almost completely wet trimmed in a sense. You know, there's the only thing left green on it is the nugs and the sugar leaf.
That's part of like what I was kind of talking about earlier with just like my defoliation technique is like sometimes I'll naturally let the plant pick. It's like, oh, I'm gonna kill off this leaf. Like I'll just go in there when the light cycle started and like it'll pick up. If you leave too many leaves in there and you grow the plants too big and bushy, it'll start picking like, I'm gonna kill this leaf. And it'll be a completely dead leaf next to a perfectly healthy leaf. You can just like tap it with your finger and it'll fall right off. And in Afghanistan, there's in the Hindu Kush mountain range actually, I need to figure out, I think it's on Afghan selections page, but I've showed it a few different times and I think even on the show. But it shows these Afghani plants that were grown and there's literally snow on the mountaintops. And these plants look like brown or black. And they're literally letting them like die on the vine. It's like their last harvest of the year. But they let them go like that because they're going to turn them to hash. But they're basically like letting that stress, that cold, and that drought, it's supposed to create some of the best hash. So they're like ancient traditions that have observed these techniques and tried it. And granted, they have other harvests throughout the year as well, but I should probably go pull up the thing so I can actually properly quote it. But it's interesting.
It's not 100% across the board, but most of the time, you know, like 9 out of 10 times, the more fade kind of equates to the more terps, in my experience. Once in a while, you'll get a strain that comes out, you know, it didn't like it or somewhat, and the terpene profile was maybe better at like week 6, 7, and you know it's actually a 9 or 10 week strain, and it kind of already diminishes in terps. Those ones seem to not really like to get completely faded, but normal strains where their peak production of cannabinoids and terpenes are right at the point where the trichomes are turning cloudy, those ones seem to really like being faded out.
I'm gonna send this to you, Red Pill. This
Okay.
post. Red Pill 710, good dabs on Instagram.
Yep.
All right. But it says harvest time in Hindu Kush, some beautiful hash is to be made as soon as the humidity and temperature drops. And then there's a comment from a seed bank on there that I always go to. Oregon Elite Seed says, Why are some of the buds so dark? It looks old. Not trying to be disrespectful, just curious as to why it has that look. To me, did they just let the crop go? No disrespect. And then Afghan Selection says, oh, I got it. There's like more than one reply. Shit. Said question is totally legit. Some farmers let the hash cure on the plant while it's standing. Don't cut until all the plants are finished for a more mature hash. And as we view it with a broader spectrum in the overall feeling, was the response from Afghan Selection. So I just thought that was a interesting post and good knowledge that was dropped there, because
you got
Eagles talked about that.
There's two examples, the one you just gave and then the one that the study proved. You know what I mean? And that's getting super scientific, technical, and then that's just old school, you know, whatever, intuition or wives' tales, or just the way we do things for superstition's sake, you know.
Frenchie's done a good job of like, he's gone to all the traditional hash producing countries and like he's observed all of the things like that they do, and then he's backwards applied the science to it. Like either he's personally done it himself or like gone into other people who've done the research, like Robert Connell Clark, and other people who've written books about hashish. And it's a really deep rabbit hole. And Eagle has actually talked about, you know, like even dried bud hash versus fresh frozen hash and the different highs and terp profiles that are associated with both of those, the differences. I personally like to take my stuff long. Like you were talking about like a 9-weeker. I like to take all my stuff almost 9 or 10 weeks, depending on the strain. And I like to, you know, make sure it has a nice fade. Even in like organic soil, you're not flushing. I've given it mostly water the entire time, but I try and pick my pot size and plant size so that it does have a pretty decent fade by the time it's chopped down. And I've been very happy with the terps. I'll say that. I think that definitely good fade correlates. I usually have white ash too, which a lot of people desire. I don't think it necessarily equates to perfect weed or good cannabis, but I would rather have a light, white, fluffy ash than a hard, dark black ash, or even like a grayish.
Or organic setting, some type people, you know, they'll knock on it because they'll be like, what do you mean you don't have to flush the plant? And if you're in an organic setting, and let's say the last thing I ever fed the plant was some enzymes at day 40, and I am taking a plant to day 65 or longer, it's getting water all that time, and it's fading. So it's only burning white ash. You know, I would say it's harder for someone to flush something that they were feeding 1,000 part per million, you know, nutrient feedings each time than it is.
I agree, but some people give too much like cow shit, like too much compost that's not well done, and then it tastes like cow shit, and then it actually does burn. I've had organic bud that burnt.
No types of fresh manure ever got to the plant. This is a cooked super soil where guanos were probably the only type of poop, or worm castings, you know.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. I think there's a lot of ways to go about mixing a soil and a lot of different good inputs. And some people might not figure it out their first try. So that's why I like, or maybe they just are convinced their way is perfect. So they're like not open to anybody's suggestions. And then they keep growing. Like I think Noah the grower said it the other day. He's like, some people grow for years and years and they just never get any better. It's like, and some people are really like closed-minded. They're not open to anybody's input or advice, and they just keep growing the same shit over and over and over. And sometimes it's really good, but then sometimes it's not. Like there's a scale. Like somebody's gonna be the best out there, and somebody's gonna be the worst out there. But hopefully you're not the latter.
I would always end up growing maybe like 4 to 5 foot tall plants with very fast metabolism in a 3-gallon pot of total super soil mix, not diluted or anything. And they would still fade and burn white, you know. So
yeah, 3 gallons. Most people think that that's like not even possible to do with organics, but I think a 3-gallon pot is definitely like, that was what I preferred to grow. And I used to go 3-gallon pots side by side. But 5-gallon pots work really well in organics, and even much, much larger can be really successful.
All right. Well, I got what I had to say out. I was just really intrigued with that because that's my total experience with the best weed that I've ever got to grow. You know,
it's an interesting conversation for sure. Smiley's giggling over there. Do you see something funny in the chat?
Yeah, I was just saying black ash matters. That's funny.
It's Black Ash History Month. We got to talk about the history of the black ash.
I agree, man. I do. I was gonna say, like, some of the idea of the dry down though too, like the timing on that gets a little tricky, I think, because you don't want that fade to go into the bud. If it's fading into the bud and the bud's starting to turn that yellowish color as well and getting consumed, it's bad. By the time you've hung that, I mean, I've seen it from my own experience. I've seen it. That's all I'm talking. But like by the time you hang that, it turns brown and shitty, and it's the nugs you're not even gonna want to trim by the time they hit the table to be trimmed. It's like you look at it and you're like, what the fuck? Why was this even hanging? You know what I mean? And it's kind of, so that's been my experience with it. I do agree. And a fully green one at harvest, in my experience, has left a different color to the ash, and it's not fully white like you would want to see. So it's, I think there's a lot to that, and it's tough. It's a tough thing, and I'm not always happy with what I get from it either. I'm just being honest, so that, you know what I mean, so other people can know too. You know, like it's.
Speaking honest, I got to be honest about my growing with Eagle. My sangria didn't make it. I had one lady that I picked out, and I was trying to go 3 plants in the earth box. My 2 velvet punches grew up and over, and that sangria in the middle, it like went from like a 3 cola plant to like a 2 cola plant to like a 1. I was like trying to squeak its way in there. It just got dwarfed every single day. I was like pulling off a little bit more like at least trying to get just like 1 cola up there into the light. That's the one thing with the earth box is like before I'd have 3 3-gallon pots, right? And if the one was smaller, I could put it up on a lift so that it would be up at the same canopy as the other ones. But because it was at the same base level, it just got dwarfed. So it ended up getting cut out before it molded over or anything. It literally was like down to its tippy top, like the top cola, just the top bud with like a few leaves on the side, and like it couldn't even support that with like the little bit of light that was getting through to it. So I was bummed. I definitely wanted at least a handful of seeds, but I have some of his other work still that I'm going to be going through. So Sub's not gone in my garden, that's for sure. I'll be growing plenty of his stuff for many years to come.
You know, the other thing to consider too about that dryback or not dryback, but just the fade that we were talking, but like having the plant has to deal with nitrogen. And if it's in there, I mean, I know they can make a choice on some of it. It's still, when we're talking in excesses of nitrogen inside the plants already, a lot of the sugars being produced by that photosynthesis have to go to deal with that too, because it's, I guess in my understanding of it, it's kind of like it comes in a toxic form, or it can be in a toxic form. So the plant's kind of got this like timetable of trying to convert that into amino acid and into proteins, and it's like in an excess form of nitrogen is toxic, because that's where your leaves will start to actually burn and the cells die from it. Like that's the excess of what it's doing, the damage. But yeah,
that's why you use that amino N plus, bro.
Right, and it's important at the end because you're trying to use, you know, like what our goal is we want the fucking plant to be making all the secondary metabolites. Well, it needs the carbohydrates from photosynthesis to do that, or the starches that it's already stored up, and it can break them down and move that. But it's trying to use that, is my point, to make what our goal is. And if it's using that because there's excess nitrogen that is still trying to, you know what I mean, to convert into protein, whatever, it's a whole lot different ball game. So it's like, I think you can kill a lot of your terpene content too, just by overfeeding or having available at the end there. You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree with that 100%. I think it's better to go a little bit light on nitrogen because it's super fast and available. If you are a little light, you can always make up for it. And like Brandon Russ has that amino N plus product, which is like I think it's like a soybean something. I don't know, but it's a soybean amino. Okay, so I knew it was from that category of things or whatever, but I think because it's already an amino, it's like a little bit further down the chain. It's not like a nitrate or one of like the traditional nitrogen fertilizers that you get, or even like a blood meal. that's like super rich and high in nitrogen. Like the nitrogen's there, but it's also in the form of an amino. So the plant, when it's broken down into the water, it takes it up a little bit differently, to my understanding. It's like almost immediately available, but it doesn't stick around as long. But I could be.
So you got to think too, Jack, like the oxidation state, or the kind of that ionic charge or whatever. But when you have an amino, it's a carbohydrate, which is your energy combined with the nitrogen. So instead of the plant taking the nitrogen and having to produce carbohydrate to connect to that to make that amino, it can actually use that amino the way it is, or it can deconstruct it and have the energy to use for the plant. So it's like gaining energy versus having to, use energy to burn up what it has there, so to speak.
That makes sense.
But it's still a form of nitrogen, so you're not gonna. I guess I don't know. I can't say what Brandon does, and I would disagree with what he's doing at all. But like in my mind's eye, I wouldn't really want to be adding an amino.
That was my hypothesis when I brought it up, the first time, and then started off with what I said with is there anything that the plant can be deficient in that ends up being a beneficial thing to us at the end product? And the only thing I can take away would be nitrogen, So everything else, you might not want to do because it's doing something to build those secondary metabolites.
Spartan Grown always mentions that like one they can be deficient in is actually phosphorus without decreasing yield of the flower or cannabinoids or secondary metabolites. But and like it just needs to be just enough. It needs to be there, like sufficient enough that you're not deficient. But if it's in excess, it actually really negatively hurts you.
Right.
Where a lot of people undergo is potassium with flour. But
that was from a study. That was not a study, but that was from that podcast, Tad Hussey's podcast with Allison Justice, and she was talking about there was a threshold for phosphorus where she was like, yeah, and she came from outside of the cannabis industry, and she was like, it was a weird phenomenon to her that they were just hammering them with phosphorus. And to her understanding, yeah, they need it, but they only need it to a certain point, and it's not like adding excess was gaining anything. It was just kind of like going out the bottom of the pots. They weren't. So yeah, so in that, what she got to the end result was that she got down to the nitty gritty of what they actually needed for phosphorus, eliminated all the excesses, and then it saved them, the company, a bunch of money across their whole operation, kind of thing.
I bet you if you looked at those grape plants that you're talking about that are the most highest regarded grapes for making wine, I bet you if you go and look at them and then did like the leaf chart thing, I bet you what they're showing is a phosphorus deficiency.
I think they have high bricks though. A lot of like the really good wines do have high bricks, and like high bricks in cannabis. I've seen some, like Brandon used to test his bricks and it would routinely be above 15. So, I mean, he had super healthy plants here in San Diego. He used to have like a little refractometer, I believe is the proper term. But I don't think that it like makes your plants immune. Funny enough, Allison Justice, that whole Alco thing, that was here in San Diego, and she's worked with my buddy Matthew Gates, who's like the bug guy, Zentanol. He's been on the show, but he's like a really great IPM specialist, and I have the pleasure of having him within my circle in case anything ever goes awry. He's fucking got probably a video on it and how to fix it, and he worked with Allison Justice, actually, funny enough. But
when your brain has certain capacity for things, my brain is already fried to the point where it's not going to remember all those Latin names for insects.
It's tough, man. I try my best. I actually try to, like, because not that I know everything about growing, but I know enough to like keep my garden healthy enough for my opinion. And like, I can always learn more about that, obviously, and always get better. Like I've started doing more top dressing, like my mulches this year in organic soil. And I think that mulch is pivotal if you want to keep a healthy, even moisture level through your soil. But going back to the whole Allison Justice thing, she used like a local fertilizer place that they just mixed up the fertilizer for them, like specifically exact to the recipe that she wanted, and it cost like way less than going and buying like advanced nutrients or whatever, which is like what a lot of the companies here were doing. And this was like Prop 215 days, which was like just a shade above like the, you know, illicit market days. And it was interesting to hear that story that she shared. There's a lot of really good information on that podcast for anybody who's interested. Ted Hussey definitely also has a great show. It's been around for a while. Not to like drive listeners or viewers away from this show. I know we're a whole different category, except for, you know, I mean, the organics takeover probably, in my opinion, rivals some of Ted Hussey or other people's content out there as far as like good quality, like high tier organics knowledge that people are really looking for, specific to cannabis as well, with tons of great guests. So props to you, Smile. You've been killing it with all the guests and all the great info. Even though I missed it tonight, I was fucking printing.
I hope it shows, man. That dude's cool. Josh hasn't been on a lot. He doesn't have a huge following or nothing on Instagram either, but he's doing some killer shit. So sorry, I was trying to answer in chat here to some of the nitrogen cycle, but what about Bob was talking about, you know, ammonia and nitrate, nitrite, all that. But my whole thing on that whole cycle, when they're talking about it, they're only talking in chemical forms of nitrogen, and it's not talking about like organic forms of nitrogen. So my understanding is that biology is also using the nitrogen to grow their own colonies in their own bodies and in their own cells, so that you know, as the colony of biology is building, you're building your carbon in the soil, right? But you're also building nitrogen along with that, because all those little bodies took up nitrogen to be built. They used it in their own bodies too. So that's like kind of part of that circle that, you know, the soil food web always kind of steps outside of that, where everybody thinks in chemical forms, but like the whole soil food web is operating in a whole like organic side where it's a lot, you know what I mean? It's a whole different thing than what we always picture. Because I kind of jumped on Brandon's post a little bit about that too, where he showed how a plant uptakes iron, and that's the chemical forms of how the plant can uptake it. But in reality, it's actually biology that's doing a lot of that reductase, that F3 to F2 portion that he had in there. To my knowledge, that's a lot of biology that's actually doing that for the plant, you know. So like some of those circles, when we look at those pie charts and the little graphs and stuff, it's cool, but it's like a still shot of a dynamic system. You know what I mean? It'd be like taking a picture of Jack walking in New York City when all of New York City is fucking happening, right? But we're just looking at what Jack did that day, you know what I mean, when he was there or whatever. So it's kind
like
of
I was walking when there's people in a cab. There's different ways to travel. Like what you're saying is like he's showing the taxi person taking the taxi when there's people out there walking or biking, which is like the organics. It's a little slower. It's a different mechanism, but they're both traveling. It's getting iron into the plant. But if you just see that snapshot, you're only going to get it from that nitrogen or iron perspective that's coming from a chemical or a salt related nutrient. And it is a different process. And I'm sure he's aware of the microbials. You know, he makes a micro product, Micro Plus. Both of us use it, and it's very effective. And in my opinion, I'll throw that out there. I think it's a great product. He uses the EM consortium, and I think like something non-purple unsulfured something. Or other.
That's part of the
I
EM.
can't remember.
The one he
okay.
has, to my knowledge, is the Pseudomonas. So I think there's some other form of yeast that I thought he brought into like a brewing.
It smells amazing. It smells like apple juice almost, man. It's like I have to like resist drinking out of that bottle. At least mine does. My bottle smells great.
Yeah, just keep smelling it every time. That's good.
I don't smell it every 5 minutes, just like the once a week when I'm adding it into my water. But he mentioned with his amino N that he uses it until like late flower, but then he does cut it off. But he said because it's such a quick acting thing that it doesn't hang around long, you can actually use it for the first at least few weeks of flower. I've cut it out probably like week 2 or 3. So
well, I'm talking like cutting it out like week 5 or 6, because like, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Jack, the stretch is kind of like a lot of nitrogen's needed through that. And then
Yeah.
a lot of times when we think of like bud set, and then if you want to break it down, I look at it like bud set and fruit fill, because that's how John Kemp always talks about it. But you know, if you look at those different stages, in fruit fill is actually kind of a looked at, or could be looked at as a vegetative type stage, because the plant's really trying to add a vegetative biomass. You know what I mean? It's trying to build the bud. It's trying to build the biomass of the bud as it's filling that fruit in. You know?
This time I'm running it later because I'm making seeds, and more like I'm gonna be smoking just the dry sift. And seeds need a little bit more nitrogen, from what I've been told by a lot of the breeders in the past. So to like keep it healthier and happier later in flower and push an extra week or two.
Yeah, the aminos would help a ton with the seeds for sure.
Dude, they're all looking so plump. I actually was snipping off some of the bottom stuff, and I took one, and this was maybe 2 or 3 weeks after pollination max. And I stripped open the little, there was like a pre-formed seed on the very bottom that I didn't notice on that bud when or that stem when I clipped it off. So I shred it out of the thing, and it was like a white premature seed, but I planted it and it fucking sprouted. Like, I didn't end up growing out the plant because I just planted it in the same one as like the male in the chamber. I was just like curious if it would sprout. It did. It ended up dying shortly after, but I mean, still impressive that like with such a short amount of time on the plant, like I take them several weeks on the plant, let them get really mature. Like sometimes you'll see them like brown tiger stripe like poking out, like some of them fucking literally falling out of the plant. So I want to make sure that we got as few white premature seeds as possible, and as many good tiger striped or just like gray brown, whatever color they actually end up being. Some of them are like black.
So yeah, having the nutrition there for it, I would imagine. I'm not very knowledgeable. I've only done a few seed things, you know what I mean? And I didn't really fuck around with nutrition at all. I actually did hit up Lemon Hoko just kind of asking a question, because one of mine was like, they were real little. They all came out nice color, but they were real little teeny tiny. You know what I mean? They were just little dinky seeds. And I was thinking it might have been a nutritional thing, you know, because I just had them in a little 1-gallon pot. I wasn't really trying to do a whole lot, but he said he doesn't really think of it whenever I have problems. So,
my 1-gallon pot weren't any smaller or larger than my 3-gallon pot seeds the first run. And what I would say is breeder Steve talked a lot about how certain strains are like coconut size, so like huge fucking seeds. And then a lot of subcool seeds that I got from him were tiny, and he grew massive ass plants. So I don't necessarily think it's the size of the plant. I think it is genetic linked for sure. And funny enough, Dr. MJ Coco, when we talked about this once upon a time, said farmers for many different farm styles actually, above all else, selected seed size, like for the larger seed, above any other thing for keeping seed for the next year.
Okay.
Above.
The only thing I could remember, well, there's two things, and this might not have anything to do with it as far as like what me and you would be able to produce if the genetics, the gene pool were this certain, either recessive or dominant gene wasn't there, then we wouldn't be able to pull it out anyways. But supposedly the more further you have your part in breeding a plant, the more you'll increase the weight of a seed. So like just say like 100 seeds make up a gram you start with. The more you inbreed or selectively breed that strain, eventually it'll be maybe 98 seeds equal a gram, or 90 seeds equal a gram. The seeds get bigger the more you have your hand in breeding with them. And the furthest 2-part example that I've seen seeds weighed in was a Hash Church episode when Skunkman Sam showed what he had 6 seeds, and they're like supposedly snack seeds somewhere in China, and 6 seeds equaled a gram. And then next to it, he held up a bag of some wild weed that was growing somewhere in Kashmir, where 8,000 seeds equaled a gram. They're like poppy seeds. So
Yeah, you're not going to get a wider. That's the ends of the spectrum there,
right.
You know. And Skunkman Sam is well traveled enough and knowledgeable enough about the different strains that, I mean, maybe you'll find one that is 5 seeds a gram, instead of 6, but it's not going to be much fewer than that.
Yes.
Maybe there will be some freak mutant or some genetic breeding that happens that makes like 1 seed per gram. Like you just get some fucking real like malt balls type thing. But that's interesting. I'm glad that you shared that, because I have watched a lot of Hash Church, but I don't recall that particular.
I can't remember.
I never saw it.
Exact episode, but supposedly they're mostly used for either fish bait or just snack seeds. Like in your hand, just snack on it.
Yeah, no. A lot of hemp was grown in China. Has a long history of hemp. Still, even to this day, they grow hemp, but like the THC cannabis is very frowned upon there, unfortunately. Even though that has a long history there as well. But a lot of people don't know this. The United States has a huge history of hemp. There's a lot of hemp town, like cities called like hemp town.
I'm in Wisconsin, and they had, if you know, Hemp for Victory during World War II. They allowed Wisconsin and Kentucky to grow fiber producing cannabis strains for the hemps and the parachutes and all that kind of stuff. Paracord.
Yeah. Ropes, paracord, all that. Even back in the days, sails is what allowed people to fucking sail from continent to continent. But there were people in Canada, even still to this day, that they grow hemp just for seed. Like a lot of hemp is just male, female. They just fucking throw tons and tons of seeds out there.
From what I understand,
themselves, and then
from what I understand, that's what the hemp market is actually most efficient in, and they want more seed producers. But the whole fear is, if you grow tens or thousands of acres of hemp seed product, everyone's fearful of all the other outdoor around it getting seeded, right?
They banned it in Humboldt, permanently banned. Hemp was just recently, like within a few months, they permanently banned outdoor hemp cultivation in Humboldt County, which, I mean, with their legacy, it makes perfect sense. One farm, like you just mentioned, could ruin the entire county.
There is such thing, though, that displays itself once you get into F6 and F7 inbred lines. You find those pistolless varieties. And theoretically, it can be possible to find pistolless varieties through either S1 or back crossing, cubing, finding those plants and then line breeding them with something else, getting to an F7, and you can theoretically get any cultivar to be pistolless and barren for pollen.
Breeder Steve's working on that. He figured out that if you S1, S2 a thing, that like 50% of them with like a bunch of different strains will start going pistolless, but he had a hard time getting them to produce all the seeds to be that way. But then he figured it out recently. I think he must have either talked to Oregon CBD, who's doing it. They have an unpollinatable female hemp that they can put out. But Breeder Steve figured it out. There's like a few terms, parthenocarpy and sthenocarpy. And you see it like seedless watermelon. Parthenocarpy is the one with this little white seeds, and he wanted like the sthenocarpy, I think, which is where they don't get any seeds at all.
Right. I ironically got lucky in it. Well, not lucky in the sense of me purchasing this bag of weed and finding all these seeds in it or partial seeds in it. But at one time in my life, got something that someone, this was in hydro or dro type, terminology back when I was growing up. And someone gave me something that was like, well, this is baby dro. And I'm like, what do you mean baby dro? I'm like, well, it's really good, but it still has like seeds in it. I'm like, all right. So we get the weed, and it's just those pure white mushy seeds that the Penastarthic or whatever, the ones that still formulate seeds, the seedless watermelon variety. There's technically they're still producing seeds, but they're not producing the hard, whatever outer shell black seeds that you find, rather than completely sterilized, barren ones that don't bear seeds at all. But through my experience, not the hands of me growing, but unfortunately the hands of me consuming, found that variety where it's just filled with there's no outerless shell to it. It's just a mushy white seed. But yeah, supposedly that's how Breeder Steve described the difference of the two.
Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my internet.
They're coming for you, the aliens.
We're spreading too much knowledge.
I guess. I don't know. Satellite went down, and it shows like though it shows like the Wi-Fi of the satellite's working, but the LAN connection won't work for some reason. Which my computer runs on a LAN connection, which you'd think that'd be the one that would work, and vice versa, but I don't know. I'm rebooting it and trying to fucking get it going.
I just want to throw it out there. I miss seeing Ali Noble. We haven't seen him in a little while. I've been trying to. I've seen him in the chat actually, like a few nights ago. I haven't seen him. Oh, okay. Well then, I wasn't up. I fucked up. I missed it. I fell asleep and I wasn't here. I'm blowing it. I'm trying to link up with him. I saw him in the chat last night actually, and I probably ended up falling asleep before he came on. Is what it was. But yeah, I need to link up with him because he's got the original like proof copy. It doesn't even have the right binding on it. He went up to the printer. He lived really local to the printer. He's about an hour north where I'm at, and picked it up for me. And it ended up being a big fuckaboo because the printer had one address on Google, but then they had an address in my email, and I like fucking sent the wrong address to Ali, and he basically gets there, doesn't have a car. He's like expecting to like he Ubered there. This dude, he goes out of his way, Ubered for me to go pick it up, and was at the wrong place. So he had to Uber like 20 or 30 minutes opposite direction, and ended up going and getting it. They stayed open late for him, but I want to make sure he gets like a signed copy because that one's just blank and it doesn't have the proper binding on it because they didn't have their machine ready or whatever. So Ali went through a lot of shit for me. Big shout out to Ali. He's the man. I definitely made sure to reimburse him for the Ubers, but the time and the effort and all that can't go unthanked. I want to give him a big shout out because he made sure I like, Zoom called him basically or FaceTimed him on Instagram that the quality was to his standards because like he was somebody who ordered the book and I was like, is this something that would make you happy if you got it? And like I saw it on the video, it looked good to me. So I trusted his judgment and then ended up putting in the bigger order, which I've sent out to a bunch of you guys and people seem to be happy with it. So even like the new printer that I went to because the old printer was fucking up so much, they're like, yeah, there's some good qualities about this. Like you have to pay extra for this and that. I'm like, okay, it's worth it. Like to me, like I want the best quality possible. So like the one thing was like he was talking about it has a UV protectant on the cover. So if it sits out in the sun, it won't fade as quickly as some other books or print would. So I was like, I didn't even know that, but good shit. I guess I got good quality. Everyone's muted, just smiling at me.
What happened to the feed? Are we back live?
Oh, we've been live. Eagle's just been.
Yep, Eagle's the one that's trying.
I was turning into the paranoid conspiracy theorists, thinking that we're saying too many truth bombs and they had to cut us off.
I've thought that for a while too, but then sometimes I think that it's just some hater like fucking DDoSing Eagle, like sending him a bunch of like, some people can do that shit. It's like a denial of distribution of service or some shit. You basically just send a bunch of like packets of information to somebody's internet and it like overwhelms them. They like have like thousands of computers all send him like basically like what's equivalent of like thousands of hours worth of video, all just hitting his Wi-Fi at one time. It just crashes everything. But he has a VPN and he has like a Wi-Fi and a satellite. So I don't know how they get all this shit. I think it could just be he's like so far north, the weather's crazy. Just fucks with it.
A damn polar vortex.
Price you pay for living in the middle of nowhere, I guess, but comes with some security. I see Eagle again.
Got the computer. Well, I'm on the Wi-Fi, not the LAN now. I don't know what the hell. Between Smiley's episode being fucked up now and my LAN being fucked up, I think it is somewhat DOS attacks. I just think that maybe they have both IPs. I don't know.
That could be it.
It's weird how it comes in waves. I won't have it problem for a while, then it'll come out of the blue.
If I don't post, man, I'm gonna rerun that show with Intergalactic. It's fucking badass. Jack, he's going around and collecting fucking scraps from the trash and basically he's got a process that he composts it or they would dry it down or dehydrate it down, and they would powderize it, get it tested, all the different ingredients, and then they would mix it all together in a pelletized form. So it was all like recycled trash that you can basically, it's a pellet you can throw on your fucking soil and feed your plant with. So it's a killer concept idea, and he's making it work, and it's fucking cool, man. So yeah, I hope it gets out there because more people need to hear his fucking story, man. It's cool as shit. It's right here.
That is cool.
You know, in Michigan.
You hit record, right?
I did not know. Oh, I did.
Oh, fuck.
So hindsight, right there. That is so hindsight too. Eagle said the same thing, and I was like, "Don't."
Next time, for sure. For these, because you only do them every so often, I think you have the space hopefully on your computer, at least for one episode at a time. Download it, save it, make sure you can get it on Zoom, Vimeo, WeedTube, Spotify, all the different podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts.
No, that's going to be a protocol, man. I want to try. I'm going to just hit record every time.
You know what sucks is WeedTube was only was only created because the WeedTube community was the beta test for YouTube censoring everyone.
You know, I've been uploading to that format too, and it's slow, and I think they're only video a day, so I can't even keep up to what I'm wanting to upload. And then if I remember reading it right, I think they're going to cap me off at 15 gigs, which might mean I'll have to erase old episodes to keep new episodes up.
Make a second
I kind of looked in
account.
Yeah, I kind of was looking into the Vimeo today, but they only offer you so much too, and I think it's like 500 megabytes per week for free, and then after that you got to pay, and which wasn't bad. I think it was what was it, like 20 gigs a month or something like that. It was $7-8 a month if you bought ahead, so $84 a year. And then you 5 gigs a week, basically. So I was actually thinking about just coughing up to $84. That's if you bought ahead. If you went month by month, it's like 15. So I was thinking about, coughing up to $84 and, just putting shit over there. But I don't know how Vimeo works. Can people find the show over there? Like, is it like YouTube? Will they suggest it over there, or will I have to direct my own traffic to Vimeo?
I think that's going to be the case. I don't think they're going to probably push you up in the algorithm very much. But I think WeedTube or whatever, even if you just get a certain amount of episodes, like some of the highlight ones that are special to you or whatever, like maybe the first or latest, whatever you feel like sticking up on any of these platforms, it just makes it so if the main one, which is the YouTube, goes down, there is some other platforms for people to like find you, know about you, and still you can announce like, oh, they got my page, go follow me on my Eagle Gardens 2.0 YouTube. So people, instead of going from 0, you're at least at like a few hundred or 1,000. It's just sort of a security. And then you have that place so if people do want to listen or watch, you've got the podcast backed up on all the different platforms. That's awesome. And I think it's not like every single thing needs to be on every single platform, as long as you get a good chunk on enough of the platforms that you can maybe gain a new following or just have a safe, secure spot for people to find shows. If there is a wipe,
that's the moreover the thing is I want to have a backup. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm looking for. Just for all the content, because I've had a computer go down too. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of them downloaded to the computer before it took a shit.
Do you ever mess with DLive or BitChute?
I have not messed with either yet.
Yeah. BitChute and DLive, I've heard less. Both of them I've heard a lot and critiques about whatever, but that's where everyone goes for like the hardcore conspiracy videos that aren't ever going to be allowed on YouTube. You can post there and have no whatever censorship. If we ever had to go there, those are places where you could upload and never have to worry about being taken down, even for like music copyrights.
It's good stuff to know. I hate to say it. I hope it's not the case, but I think that there's going to be another wipe of cannabis related and or any like adult content related YouTube channel, because like the YouTube kids just keeps growing and they're like making more money and they're doing more monetized advertised shit, and like if we're not conforming to like advertise and be advertiser friendly, they're either gonna like push us so far down in the algorithm or just like delete our shit like at some point. Maybe that's not pessimistic, but it's happened so many times on so many different platforms. I'm just like, when's the hammer gonna come down again? You know, because it like the last time the communities were going for so long, like uninterrupted, and then just boom, all of a sudden, just pulled like how many channels? Everybody's favorite channel. You know, if people were around back then, they remember. Basically, everyone lost their page. So, you know, now we've got these new series of shows, Eagles. Some of the ones I've been on. There's a bunch of them that came back afterwards too. They rebuilt, but I definitely hope it doesn't happen with legalization moving the way it is. Hopefully there's less reason for any of these big networks to remove cannabis specifically, but you never know.
Yeah, I think it's DOS attacks tonight. It just went down again on the other network. So, yeah.
It's all good. Does suck though on the episode. I hope that gets figured out. I know it's probably not gonna, but not gonna. Good vibes. Yeah, I'll get a hold of Josh, man. If it's whatever, I'm sure he's down to come talk. He already said he was down to come talk again, so that was cool.
Yeah, I hope it posts too. That sucks. It really sucks. And to kind of go back to that, and when you thought chat wasn't there, how awkward. It's weird, isn't it? Is it not a whole different tone if you know they're not there?
I was like texting you. I was like DMing you. It's like fucking stopping the program. Ego, what's up with fucking chat, bro? Like, it sucked.
It's weird. I don't know how to describe it. It's like when you do the show and you know chat's there and it's up and running, you honestly feel like it's in front of an audience kind of feel to it. You know what I mean? You feel like there's a presence on the other side, but man, you can't see that chat and it's not running, man. It feels like you're doing this shit in a fucking gymnasium with fucking nothing but crickets. It definitely puts fucking a different vibe to it.
Well, and on top of that, it says like this action is not allowed when you try and type in there. So like I'm not even allowed to type in there from like my Jack Greenstock account. I'm like running growing with my fellow growers from the Cheap Home Grow account. So I had to like log out of my I'm already logged into both. So I just had to like click around and like frantically go from one account to the other so I could hit like hey or go or like whatever so that everybody else starts piling in. But like thankfully I had like a panel of people. And I was like, all right, you know, this is Jack Greenstock, and up next, so and so. And so as they're going, I'm fucking fumbling around on the keyboard trying to like make it so everybody can type. And like one of them even calls out, like, why don't we have a chat? And I was like, I'm working on it. Like, so we got it going, fortunately, as we always seem to do. But you figure they'd have that shit figured out by now. What the fuck is going on? YouTube is
From my end, it was really weird because I don't know if it was Smiley or actual Eagle who did the thing to comment in the chat room first. But I saw that, and then it looked apparently to me that other people and myself were chatting in the chat room. But then Smiley, like 5 minutes into it, said that the chat wasn't working. I'm like, I wouldn't know that on my end if that's not the case.
I just had to refresh the page.
Okay.
that happens sometimes too. It's a motherfucker, man. This shit is like honestly way more difficult than it looks. We make it look easy, or maybe we make it look extremely difficult. But we do it high and not
Oh
pre-recorded.
yeah, that's a whole
I'm
nother
not-
thing.
Guy, what are you talking about?
Go watch someone else's stream that has nothing to do with cannabis. You know what I mean? We're holding it together on fucking, you know, a 2 gram a day dab limit right there.
That's a limit? Dude, I've had a gram that I don't fucking know. I've been hitting this for well over a week now. It's way true. I suppose that's pretty true. That's all you smoke for.
You're mixing it with flour though, right? He only smokes just dabs.
Yeah. My primary joints. I only smoke those actually with you guys, really.
I just love this
Just the-
vaporizer, man.
I just try to
Go ahead,
fit-
Eagle.
I was gonna say just the dabs with us.
Yeah, I just try to
Dabs
fit
on.
in with everybody. I can't be the one that's not. Right?
I'm honestly
Oh,
that
peer
way.
pressure.
I almost only dab here because
I
like
gotta
the
take my
dab
hat
song.
off. No, you guys, I can't do that either. Shit.
I don't know. Like I said, I love it. It goes in almost every case. It just goes down smoother than flour does. I don't know. That's just the way my body is wired. You know.
Yeah. No doubt, man. Yeah.
It's easier on you. But do you ever try like a vaporizer or something like one of these bad
Well,
boys?
yeah. I've actually my one of my best buddies, my best smoking buddies, his cousin is the inventor of Silver Surfer vaporizers.
Those are fucking dope. Shout
Yeah.
out to Skilbo. He's got one of those. Skilbo 1.
I always
Another good
recommend
dude.
those because they're so multi-versatile that if you like vaporizers that fill a bag, you can do that. If you like vaporizers, you can use a wand, you can do that. If you want to hook up a glass attachment to it, you can do that. You can make it an e-nail. There's an e-nail attachment. There's an essential oil vaporizer thing where you just put a plate of essential oils over it and your whole room or, you know, wherever will smell nice. I like it because it's the most versatile one, and it's the one I grew up on. You know, my cousins, or my buddy, that's his cousin who started that
dope.
company.
Cheers to them. I'm all for.
Mhm.
I'm not like a fuck combustion. There's a lot of vaporizer community people that are like fuck combustion. That's like even one of the forum or websites is fuckcombustion.com. But this one, the Vapor Brothers VV1 desktop, was made in 1999. It's real fucking simple. It's just like a whip and a tiny little bowl right up there, and attaches to the bong. But Eddie Bravo, I know it's a silly name, but he goes on Joe Rogan. He's a conspiracy guy. I'm sure a lot of you know who Eddie Bravo is.
Yeah,
I learned my more advanced jujitsu from his lessons, and in between some of his DVD videos, he'd be
Yeah.
on there like fucking hitting this vaporizer, and like it was
that's one of
eye-opening
his
to me.
moves. He has a move called the vaporizer.
Yep.
We could go
It's a
all
sweet-
deep in that too, man. When I got in, I have scoliosis, and I didn't figure this out till I was 21 years old. But it didn't stop me from like when I was like 18, 19. My buddies who were really into jujitsu, and one of my buddies who I need to talk to because he just texted me. It's one of our other homies from school, and one of the other, you know, one of our best friends in our circle just passed away. So my buddy just hit me up, kind of sending me love, probably because he's in the mentality of, you know, you got to talk to your friends, because you don't know the last time you would talk to them ever would be. But before ever knowing Eddie Bravo, the rubber guard was always so intuitive to me. I just did it without ever knowing what I was doing, right? And worked from omoplatas to arm bars from there, right? But yeah, I love Eddie Bravo. Definitely.
It's funny. I'm wearing a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu shirt right now. This is from the Gracie headquarters in Torrance, California. I met Heron and Henner. Took a few lessons up there from the place, and it was a good time. I love Jiu-Jitsu for sure, but I think I like a combination of both the old school and the new school. I think they're both super effective and great for teaching self-defense. But some people aren't going to learn that, so get your people that don't learn self-defense pepper spray.
I always like it appealed to me because, you know, one of the best people who improvised the system to be able to like work how it works was Helio Gracie. And it was because of his like more smaller stature, right? So he learned things that were just based on the leverage itself.
It's funny. I was
So-
born on the same day as Helio Gracie.
What
We
day
share
is
a
that?
birthday, October 1st.
Okay. I'm
We're
August 9th.
Libras.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, Leo. But yeah, I just always learned from that because the same thing, like the moves that work on based on leverage and being smaller, and you know, I'm way more better defensive off the back, and I suck at offensive on top. You know, that's just how I work.
We all have
There's-
something we can work on.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I could. I wish I could have really. You know, the scoliosis thing makes me kind of scared to get super, you know, back into it because I don't know what anyone else is out. I don't know what someone else will do to me depending on what kind of day they're having. You get what I mean?
Yeah. No, most people are super cool, man. There's a 10th Planet right here in San Diego. If you're ever out in San Diego, we should hit up an open mat on Sundays at like 2:00. Go on before growing with my fellow growers. Fucking do some rolling. It's free, I think, for
Sweet.
anybody to come in for the open mats. But it's no gi, and the people there are really, really cool. Like honestly, everybody, and most people I know in jiu-jitsu. So there's a few hot-headed people out there. Obviously, in any thing, there's your knuckleheads that might go a little too hard, but you can identify any of those people real fast. Jocko
Yeah.
actually has a gym here too. I haven't gone to it. Once I found out it was like already COVID times, and I was like, oh shit, he's got one right here. I mean, I could go there. I can't think of his last name. It's like Jocko Willick or Willick, something like that. He's a former Navy SEAL. Well, yeah, he's the one who goes on Rogan as well.
Yeah,
He's
Willick.
badass.
Wilnick.
I think.
Willick. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm stoned. I hope everybody's having a great day. What day is it today?
Yep.
Fuck. It's
I think it's
Thursday. I actually got to get running. I got an early morning. So it's been great talking with you all.
Yeah.
Smiley, Red Pill, Eagle, thanks
Yep.
for having me. Hopefully the fucking DDoSers fuck off and you guys can have a good connection issue free night. But even if not, we're like fucking almost like these shows are like almost like a cryptocurrency. It's decentralized. So even if you take Eagle down, we got Smiley's internet, you got Red Pill's internet, you got my internet, and whoever's gonna jump in after I jump out. So
God bless
try and take Eagle
Verizon.
down. Hell yeah. All right, y'all. Have a great night. Peace and love. Thank you so much for having me. I'm gonna jump in the chat
Peace.
for a little bit.
Yep.
See you.
Yep.
So I was talking to Jack here, or to not to Jack, but in chat about Chad's talking about Mel Gibson being like the fighting scene guy, but I don't know, man. That's a hard sell there, I think. Yeah, he did do some movies back in the day, but Willis might fit that category a little better. I don't know.
Man, I would take Steven Seagal over Mel Gibson. Come on.
Yeah, Seagal was legit though, man. So he's fucking legit as fuck, actually. Probably one. Actually, Seagal, yeah, he was the first ever like white sensei in Japan. So you know, they don't just give that fucking shit to you either. What up, Rez?
Oh, I'm back now. It fucking happened again. I don't even know if I'm here or gone half the time now. Because on the connection I'm at, I can't even, the video's not even moving. All I can do is hear you.
I'm here. What's happening?
Cheers. Cheers.
Is this a new look? Wait a second, I can see you twice. What the hell?
I Spy or what, man? What are you doing?
No, there's all four. Oh, maybe that's because my YouTube's still open. Maybe you can follow chat. Oh, it closed it. So Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Good, man. Good. I'm just laughing along with chat.
Good so far.
Fighting movies. Nobody said Chuck Norris yet, so not that I've seen anyway.
So I only saw 14 seconds of the show. Well, good evening, everyone. By the way, I only got to see 14 seconds of the show. That's all I showed up.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I'm sorry. I feel like I did screw something up. I was host or whatever, but for whatever reason, yeah, it didn't post. And it's a real
It
letdown.
definitely happened in the transfer, Smiley. From when I passed it to you, obviously, that 15 seconds
I'm
was...
not passing the blame, Eagle. I took the blame.
Yeah.
See how that
Oh,
works?
I know, but I don't think it was something you did. I just think it was in the passing somehow. It glitched or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it must have, because, like, yeah, 15 seconds is probably about what it did when you switch off from it or whatever. So
Maybe the only thing I can think of is maybe because I made you the host and immediately clicked out of the meeting. Maybe I should have waited a few more seconds before leaving the meeting. Indeed, fucking never happened.
maybe.
So.
I don't know, man. We'll figure it out, and hopefully we'll get another chance of, I don't know, get Intergalactic back on. Do some cool shit though, Rez. So you'll have to check out his page, and if you want to go to the website, it's Happy Coast, HAPPYCOAST.org. And he has like he's gonna have a compost up, and he'll have some pelletized
I did see the link down below the in the whatever you want to call it,
Video
the
description.
show and description. Yeah, I was listening to Jack talk about finishing. I was like, oh, he's talking about finishing small pots. I wanted to ask, and I was in. That's the problem with me and listening. I'll leave the phone here, and you guys will talk about something. I'll go in the room, be gone for half an hour, and I come back, and I'm like, oh shit, I missed a half an hour of the show. But now I was in there checking on the small pots,
Yeah,
going good.
it's cool.
Eagle, how'd your barn burn? Maybe he's out of the office for a second, or is in the other office.
Yeah, I just got the camera turned off to try to save a little bandwidth. Oh,
Sure,
I got
man.
up for nothing. I was supposed to work with another guy today, and he fucking didn't call or nothing, let me get up. And as soon as I got up and told him I was going to be there shortly after 9, he's like, I never even fucking heard from him yet. So not even ready to start the damn thing. So I got up for nothing. Left the show early, got up early for nothing.
And after 2 hours, you were like,
So
I didn't want to build a barn anyway.
I
fucking end up just staying up and getting some garden work done. In the end, it worked out for the best, I think.
That's what I'm saying. After like 2 hours, I'd already been in another mindset of going, you know what, I really didn't want to go out in the cold today anyway. These plants need some work.
So I'm not the only one that has that mentality there. I know, like, back when I was doing the construction a lot of times, and they'd fucking, if it was raining in the morning, they'd be like, come back at noon and shit. I'd be like, man, by noon, I ain't gonna want to fucking work, man. As you're talking a pot of coffee and fuck a couple dudes, man. Noon, I'm gonna be fucking mowing the lawn. Fucking noon, I ain't coming back in.
A buddy of mine got me a job once, just helping the block layers on the Department of Defense training for like the CIA or something down in Virginia. Wild building, but I only saw the beginning of it. But every morning you had to sit in your car for 2-3 hours waiting for the water to thaw. Couldn't get nothing done. And then they want everybody to go do something. They're like, go get this, go that, get that. And I was already in the mindset of like, I don't freaking want to be here, man. I just sat here. Are you paying me for this? Oh, okay, you're paying me. But shit, man, I'm sitting in a car trying to stay warm. No thanks. I'd rather be at home. It's not too motivated, you know. It's the military, man. Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait.
Union. That's union job right there. That's a union job. Hurry up and wait. 5 of you guys go hold that shovel up.
Oh man. I don't like hurry up and wait at all. But I also don't like guys that show up to the job. The materials are supposed to be there, and they don't call you until halfway through the day and say, "Hey, we didn't get it until 4 hours in," or you get there and you're like, "What the fuck? You guys should have had this first deck on already." Like, steel didn't fit. The steel was wrong. I'm like, why didn't you call 4 hours ago? How many 5 guys here? 4 hours? Some bitch, man. $25 an hour working. You know, you're like, all right.
That's the
thanks.
thing. As long as you're paying me for that time, I'll stand there. But that's your problem, you know. You bring me to the job, you get me there, and you make me stand there for 4 hours. You're paying me for them 4 hours.
Well, I know, but I'm saying is that those guys could have called me. I just sent them to another job. I just sent them back to my house and work on my own barn. Not sitting there and do nothing and try to wait on steel that didn't fit or try to, like, you're going to try to cut steel? We don't have no steel. You're not, you know, what are you doing? Call up, go to another job. That's what I mean. I mean, if they had something else to do, they could have called me, you know. They just like sit around, like, wait on the materials for 4 hours when the job site's 3 miles from my house. I had development 3 miles from my house. Less than 3 miles, 2.5 miles.
Yeah,
They
but
coulda
in
yelled through
some
the holler.
jobs like that, man, they want you to show up. You do a job for time and material, you know what I mean? You want your guys sitting there that fucking 4 hours waiting for material.
Oh, yeah.
You charge for that shit. You know what I mean? At some point,
No,
they.
Hey, I've been on the receiving end of that as well. You know, it's like pull up in a tractor trailer in the last 20 docks. There's only one dock full, and if they don't get you by 5, they got to pay you for a full day at $50 an hour, automatically 24 hours, right? At the max, or $500. Was how it worked out for that company at that time. And I'm getting ready to get out of the truck, and I see it. It was on the delivery instructions. I saw the truck backing in. He hit the dock. I walked in. I was still on time. I walked in. He's like, "What do you got?" I was like, "I got a freaking pallet. You got this whole thing here." He's like, "That's gonna take all day to get this truck done." I was like, "Oh, I guess it sucks to be you. I guess you should have unloaded me first." I said, "Oh, this cost you $500." And they don't care because they're just warehouse guys on the floor. But the company just got charged an extra $500 for a load they could have got off in 10 minutes and counted down in 20. No, but who did I care? No, it was freezing cold somewhere up in New York, and I wanted to stay in the truck and watch TV. So I was like, $500? Sure, baby, I'm sitting here today. Same thing. Fun times. I don't miss it. Anyway, that was a great episode, man.
Nice.
I hope it's somewhere in there. You already found out it's not recorded at all? You can't find it? I was in the garden if you were talking about it.
I can't find it. It's saying 15 seconds on my end too. That's stupid. How can it start a video and not know that it was like, you know what I mean? How can it cut it off at 15 seconds and the video never fucking stopped?
Did you say welcome before you transferred it?
No, that might be. That's
That's
about 15 seconds in is where I did say fucking welcome. I wonder if that's it.
Somebody look real quick.
You might have found a glitch in the
Right.
matrix.
Yep, you're right. That's 15 seconds in is right about when I hit welcome.
Just hit my head right now, man.
Maybe it just realized that, my Zoom and my YouTube weren't corresponding with each other. I don't fucking know, but that's
I know
weird
why
that
they
you say
did that. But I think they did that for the sole purpose of trying to get the moderators who are just putting on, never say anything, or somebody else is doing it, to make sure they actually they were involved before it starts. You know, that's just my theory. Pavlov's dog. They keep training you to do one more step to get to the next step. They give you one more step to get to the next step. They give you 3 more steps to get to those 2 steps. They give you 5 more steps to get to that one. It's high school all over again. It's education again. They're starting you back to kindergarten retraining. I was wondering what they're going to do with all these people who didn't have any job and weren't going to drive trucks anymore. They said they were going to ever put automated ones out. Everybody's just going to sit behind the damn TV now. And buy this brush from Mammoth. No. I only said that because when they were on what's that show? They said, we're not going to do an infomercial. We're not going to say that one all night tonight. We're not going to talk about that product all night tonight. Doggo the Hut and all those guys. What's that on the Growcast? That was. No, not Growcast. What shows that they're not doing right now? He was talking about putting back up. I love his greenhouse, by the way. Doggo, if you're out there watching. I think it's awesome. We got a bunch of phones in the house tonight, man. A freaking Galaxy and a Samsung. Well, they're both Samsung.
No, that's Red Pill, the Samsung. You know Red Pill, right? From
yeah, man.
The show.
Howdy.
Well, I don't know if we met on here yet. I don't know.
Oh man, we got the infamous, the legendary popping in. The man, the legend, the myth. Until he turns his camera on, maybe.
What up?
What up? Oh,
What's
dude,
up?
I just built it up and you come in and go, what up?
I was sitting back pretty amazed when I was watching the show because he was talking about the change in the pressure in his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, I start thinking about all the different ways it may work in somebody's body to relieve pressure. Because like the one strain he gave me, he said it helps his sciatica. So there's some kind of pressure going on in different parts of the body, nervous system, because of different cannabinoids or terpenes or something.
Yeah.
I think it's the pinene limonene. I really do.
Speaking of people that need to relieve pressure, we got Canna Trooper here weighing on this. How's that for an
Hey, Mr. Postman.
Yeah, but I do appreciate that though, because I do think that's it's one of the things that science can't deny, and if laws ever get changed, and the whole thing about being Schedule 1, one of the factors of that says it has no medicinal use, Schedule 1 drug, but glaucoma is 100% evident that cannabis does something to aid.
Well, it's interesting, the whole thing, glaucoma thing, because when I was in the late 70s, early 80s, the conversation was like, well, if you want weed and you want to get what they're growing out there, what the government will give you, you got to have glaucoma. And I would go in the back of my head going, no, I would not want to have glaucoma just to get weed.
Yeah. The 3 things, the top list, if you look at any consideration of what the federal government considered as medicinal ailments that benefited from cannabis, it was cancer, glaucoma, and AIDS as the top 3.
Just always talk about it. Of course, it wasn't AIDS back when I was hearing it all the time. Then they added that to it. It has all kinds of benefits, man. It's the first time I ever heard a story about it from a person. My friend's mom had breast cancer surgery. She didn't want to eat, so his wife went over. Said basically was going to sit on her. He said, "Here, we're going to smoke these 2 joints. You're not going to eat, but when you smoke these 2 joints with me, you're going to want to eat." She had never used. She was probably in her late. Minnie was probably in her maybe already 70s. She had to be at least in her late 60s then. And she said, "No, I'm not going to do it." Doris said, "I'm going to sit on you, or you're going to, until I'll blow it in your face till you get enough. She did. She started smoking, and she smoked, and she got her appetite back. She got healthy. I don't know if she uses it anymore. She never did around me. She would definitely enjoy some edibles. She's still alive because I ain't heard about her passing. So I definitely would have heard. Some older people like that for a lot of their pains. That's why I was looking at those roots last night. They were cutting all those roots off, man. I'm thinking I heard on somebody talking about they're making topicals out of that. I hope they're
They
doing
make
something.
spaghetti out of it. He said it, dude. They were making spaghetti out of it.
I have seen one person actually do I don't know if it was a GC or mass spectrometer test, but they tested their roots and they came up with the highest percentage of THC. They came up with 2% THC from the roots.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. You ever have like a real light, crunchy, not a potato chip, but almost like a leaf type of freaky treat they'll sell in a bag, and it's salty, right? Some kind of chip, or you would try something you might get on a. I did 6 fan leaves off a sticky plant and coconut, just that, and 4 teaspoons of coconut, and just did it on low on top of the burner until it started sizzling down. I was like, oh, it's getting crunchy. And I smelled that, and I was like, what is that smell? That coming from something. It would go spaghetti or whatever. But I took one out. It was crunchy, and it was almost like the taste of the seaweed from sushi. I just got it right now.
But like a real salty note, like over salted pretzel.
I did it right in this. I did it when I heat my coffee, and I just threw it in to see it because I was going to do it to throw some cannabis in and then make tea. And then it started getting this smell, and then I just got to it late. I was figuring they were kind of like charcoal, but they weren't black, and they were tasty, man. I pulled them out. I pulled some salt on one of them, threw it in my mouth. I was like, man, this is a hell of a treat right here. I would grab a bowl of this, even if it started falling apart, and throw it in my face.
That's getting me hungry for some pretzels right now.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, I like trying stuff like that. I like the things that happen by accident when you're trying to do something else. Now, how most things are invented. I was like, holy shit, I didn't know it'd do that. And he went back and tried it again. So now I need more leaves, a little less oil, hotter heat, do it faster, or blanched oil already, like deep fry it and just deep fry the leaves.
Yeah, I know a buddy that he has a culinary background. He's a chef by profession, and he taught me the blanching. You can take the chlorophyll off of flour before you even put it into oil or butter, and that way you're not getting any of the chlorophyll into whatever you're mixing it with.
How do you do that?
A hot water bath. You rinse it over time. You have like a little whatever those colander strainers or whatever, and you put the weed in there, and you put water at like right underneath the temperature of boiling, and you rinse the water through the bud, and it'll take off the chlorophyll, but it won't. The THC isn't soluble, if anything, because it's right under the temperature of boiling. It'll maybe decarboxylate the flour to some extent, but really what you're doing is you're stripping it of chlorophyll.
You ever seen a big espresso strainer? The big tubes that stand up, or I don't know what they call them. It's for making the juice for the next day. They make it the first day, and it drips through a big container, just drip.
Big, like whatever, like looks like a rosin type thing.
I was seeing one of those when you were saying that with the tube. You could pour down and we'd be inside of it. You just pour it at that temperature over top and flush through. It'd be right at the bottom. The tube could be used.
Well, in a scientific setting, it's called a soxhlet extractor distiller.
I am not the chemist in the room. My brother is. So.
they usually, it's a thing where you usually do, like, say if something's really soluble in THC, like if you wanted to use butane, if that's, you know, what uses the best solubility for the oils that are on cannabis to strip them off. In this case, you would use a sock slit extractor and run just H2O, just water. And it's like a double-ended thing where the bottom of it is a boiling flask that boils water. The top of it is a condenser that condenses water. So it's a continuous thing that runs over and over and over again. So you're constantly generating steam and you're constantly condensing water. And that hot condensed water strips, in this case, if you're running cannabis or, you know, flower in this apparatus, you'd be taking off the chlorophyll. But because THC isn't soluble in water, say you run this thing for like 6 to 12 hours, it would totally strip the polar or the water soluble constituents of the flower, but leave behind all the non-polar, the essential oils, the cannabinoids. So if that's only if you wanted to really get technical, and if you really want to remove.
There's so many uses that people. I mean, and it's always great to throw it in the compost pile. 100%, whatever you do it. But I just think there's so many things that go to waste with leaves that could be used medicinally for people that they're missing in their daily routine, and they're already growing it, you know, just by throwing some leaves and some stuff.
Well, and you know, like how do we know what the exact end of the entourage or ensemble effect is if you want to make like an aerosol or full spectrum oil? Is there some extent?
Have you ever smoked leaf and got high?
Yeah. I mean, I have smoked trim and leaf.
I've smoked leaf and coughed a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, you're going to cough a lot. It's really going to be harsh. But I mean, I remember more than one time where I was months without any weed. I knew damn well what it was to get high. And I pulled a leaf out of a photo album that I had that I'd stuck in there off a plant. Like, oh, there it is. I'm trapped at some relative's house. Nobody's got any weed. 2 months later. And I'm like, there it is. And put that thing in a can, crush it, go get a beer can, you know, drink it real fast. Be like, fuck, man, dark side of the moon, man. Like the dark side of the moon. That high off one leaf. But it was a good plant that came, but was in flower. So I don't think I've ever smoked one off the veg. But the ones I cook up, man, they get me nice and feeling good, man, if I cook them in oil.
Well, you know, here's another thing too is just the leaves themselves are a full spectrum cannabinoid profile, right? It's the metabolism and the enzymes in the plant that produce either a THC profile or a CBC profile. But if you're juicing leaves or doing anything else, making some type of leaf extract, you're mainly pulling CBG, but then you're also pulling whatever the plant is capable of producing to THC or CBG.
How do I get more CBG out of it?
Juice the leaves or do an extract of a plant that's maybe only 3 to 4 weeks in a flower. The
3
second
to 4 weeks in?
Yeah, if you see a plant producing trichomes, it's producing trichomes maybe 3 to 4 weeks in. And then you do an extract on that, that's almost going to be like a 90% CBG cannabinoid profile, because 3 to 4 weeks into the flower cycle, those cannabinoids aren't being synthesized either into CBD or THC yet. They're just pure.
Man, you just got me a bunch of CBG with plants I thought I wasn't going to have room for. Stay in there 3 weeks.
Have you done that before, Red Pill? Is that something you do?
It's tertiary knowledge from other people. It just has to do with the end result. If the later you go on testing flower, maybe week 1, 2, 3, 4, the less of a CBG count is. And once you go later into flower, past the natural cycle of a plant's flowering cycle, that's when you're going to get CBN. So it's a balance. You know when your plant is harvested at the exact right date when you have the lowest amount of CBG and CBN and the highest amount of either THC or CBD. Anything else, if you're getting higher amounts of CBG, your plants can go longer. If you're getting higher amounts of CBN, you took the plant too late.
And I read I don't know if it was a paper or maybe it was just a short study I read. I think it was from a paper where he talked about going, maybe it wasn't a paper. But anyway, 2 weeks, if you shot for 2 weeks less than your typical finish time where you would get it early into the THC, that then you would bump up your CBG, but also still get the flower. But you're saying 3 weeks in?
If you want a pure extract, yeah. I mean, you can't do this with hash, probably. You can't make like a water or a dry sift from 3 weeks harvested plants.
You're saying it's really good. So if it was like blended up in frozen cubes, just like you do,
you would have to do an ethanol or hydrocarbon extraction or CO2 even, but that's the best way of getting a pure or high concentrate of CBG. Other than there is a plant, I forget the people who found it or have a license on it or have a patent on it, but there is actually a cannabis strain out there that has a knocked out THC synthase gene to where it only makes CBG. So the higher you drive that plant to produce cannabinoids, it just gets more and more backed up with CBG. You can grow it seedless and wind up with like 20% CBG, or you can get it, seeded, and it's probably only going to test as high as like 6%.
I think this all goes along with just in the natural talk, when you're talking about it in natural without even going scientific with it. Everybody likes different fruits at different times. And sometimes there's a tomato I'm never going to want to bite it. I mean, because it's green, but it'd be good fried. But everybody will take a fruit. Some people will like more tart in their strawberry, and some people like it real sweet. Some people will never eat it when it's mushy. They'll never touch it. Me, I don't give a shit. That mushy when it's going in my face, and it's not rotten. I mean, it's good. So I think it's the same thing if you take the full spectrum of a plant. So because I heard the Eagle earlier, he said it's done when it's done. He said, I'll see you when it's done. It's not a certain time. It's done when it's done. See, I like that, because he may like it done in the next phase earlier, or you might like it done the next phase later. And so you get it later, you're like, no, I like that earlier. You're like, shit, I'm going back to a week earlier the next time. So I think it's the same thing, that as long as we go through the full spectrum, that's the way I see it anyway. What you're saying there, I mean, the early.
Well, and then we're talking about blending things too. Like say, we want to get to the, let's say we're going to just go the other route of pharmaceuticals. We're going to try to produce a medicine, but we're not going to let the pharmaceutical company do it. And then we make proprietary blends of plants that you can harvest at week 3 or 4 that have, like we were saying, a 90% CBD cannabinoid, or I'm sorry, CBG cannabinoid profile, right? But then we mix it with other things that have cannabinoid modulating terpenes like the limonene and pinene that we take from high THC varieties. And then you make a tincture of those two cannabinoids mixed. So you have like a 1-to-1 ratio of CBG to THC, but backed up with all those potentiating, modulating cannabinoids. That's just.
I just need to smoke one.
So what do you think is the prime time to harvest any sort of CBD strain? Because what I'm finding, especially in the hemp sector, when they're just doing heat CBG, they want to harvest around 6 weeks, because in testing at week 3, when we have the state administrator come through and take their samples, they can't even get a measurable amount of CBG at week 3. But by week 6, when we found that is the most prime time to actually harvest CBG.
But you can't go later, because then you're going over 1% THC.
Okay, but when you're saying 6 weeks, how long is that typical strain? Did you say?
That's with this particular CBG strain, but past that, but before that, we don't have anything measurable. That's what I'm saying. Is like
it would be really helpful if I knew the name of that strain that people pass around that is an actual CBG dominant strain, because it has a knocked out THC synthase.
I mean,
Right.
I see, and they've bred it, and that way, that's just what it tests out at. I don't know what its lineage is. I just know that it's their CBG.
Well,
they just have it in their system labeled
high
as CBG.
THC strains. The only way to get CBG from a super high THC strain is to harvest it early before THC is in production.
Well, like I said, this is a hemp strain.
Mm-hmm. But will that hemp strain produce high amounts of CBD if left seedless and taken to full harvest?
No, that's why they're doing it with in hemp, is because it has very low THC and it has very high CBG.
CBD though, if you leave it to harvest at
they definitely have a CBD content. I can't remember what it was.
At what point does the CBG will be converted to CBD?
Couldn't tell you, man. I just focusing on the CBG part of the information from the test that the state gives me.
Yeah, because the starting building block is always going to be CBG, no matter what the metabolism and enzyme breakdown of those cannabinoids are going to later on be. You're starting with CBG always. There's not a different cannabinoid that starts off as the building block. So.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know which one first came in. All I know is what their testing was at 3 weeks and 6 weeks.
In between there, that's what I mean, peak production. Anything later than that, your CBG is going to be converted. If it's a whatever you want to call it, UN appropriate cultivar for growing hemp or high CBD production, then it's not going to produce THC. Hopefully, sometimes they're going to go over that 0.3%. Seed production in there is going to lower it by many factors. They get seeded.
I know the THC content was under 0.3.
Right. See, so that's, I mean, it's really what you want to end up doing with that plant. Because even like if you find like a variety that you can end up growing that's got like 0.1% THC, but 28% CBD, pulling it at like week 3 or 6, maybe that's a higher producing CBG plant. I don't know the exact amount that your test showed, between whatever 3 to 12%, what I mean, is what I would guess at that point. Cannabinoid, concentrate.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the strain name was, so I wish I could give you that information, but yeah.
I just want one that actively would kill the pain in that area as well as a fruity set. I don't take those things anymore. But I'm still looking for that strain that'll kill that pain in that area. CBDs, right? CBG, the hemp's the way to go, right? Kill the pain without putting yourself to sleep all the time.
Well, CBN is what's going to make you go night-night, right? CBN. And then I would call CBD the balance in between CBG and CBN. If you want to call both ends of the spectrum, CBN is going to go night-night. CBG is going to be what you can smoke the most of and still feel energized. And then CBD is going to be what balances you out right in the middle.
Gotcha.
Because I've heard people say that in high volume, CBG makes you feel sleepy, but that didn't match anything that I know about the cannabinoid being where it starts from and where it comes from. Because the whole thing with like a cultivar like Super Silver Haze is some people take it at like 10 to 11 weeks, and then some people take it 13 to 14 weeks. And the psychoactive properties that people associate with hazes are taking from those earlier harvests because they don't have any of the CBNs. They're mostly pure THCA with not even a lot of the THCA being converted to Delta 9 regular form THC. So it's a lot of THC with maybe 1 or 2% CBG because they're harvesting a haze plant somewhat early, and that potentiates, in this case, a lot of the terpene profiles are humulene and terpene. That's what gives you the haze, more psychoactive, psychedelic effect, versus a plant that a super silver haze plant that you're going to harvest at week 13 to 14 that already has CBN production, and because it was harvested later, it has a diminished amount of terpenes, the humulene and terpene.
What's up, World Last Hope? Might as well jump.
What's going on, guys?
What's going on, man? I was saying you wanted to jump in on the combo.
Yeah, why not? I might. Yeah, for a little bit. Why not? So I'm trying to water. Little gimpy, but I'm all right.
I actually had a question that I had pulled back. I'm going to start off with this, but I was thinking about more plant ferments, and you're familiar with cilantro, or in the case of it going to coriander, right? You ever hear of anyone making a plant ferment with cilantro? Especially if you were already feeding cilantro with K and F inputs, and then harvesting that cilantro and making itself a plant ferment. And mainly I asked that question because it's very abundant in a lot of different monoterpenes. And I was wondering if, making plants that themselves are already really high terpene producers, making ferments of them, does that translate or, inhibit the plant you're feeding it to produce more terpenes?
Well, it definitely enhances them, of course. Just plants feeding plants, when it all breaks down to it, it's way more simple than most people think. What do you want to enhance? Okay, find something that's super high in it, start feeding that consistently, the plant starts adjusting to it, starts enhancing that zone. You do that with myrcene, terpene, pretty much any and you can tailor each strain to actually be different flavors individually. Even if you're growing like 200 pounds of this, 200 pounds of this, 200 pounds of this, I can make 75 pounds taste like this, 75 pounds taste like this, 75 pounds taste like this, and it's all the same strain. It all will smoke and taste a little bit different, but I'll hit you the same.
Because cilantro is really high in terpene alcohols, and the terpene alcohols are what people are expressing when they're talking about a joint burning the whole length of the joint and the taste of it not staying, or staying the same till the very last of the joint.
Those are definitely. I feel like the myrcene levels have a lot to do with that too. Honestly, myrcene and terpene for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
But again, I also feel like sulfur, magnesium, a water-soluble, biodegradable phosphorus, potassium source that's also high in enzymes also has a lot to do with it. Also, a lot of people don't understand your bubble hash water is a double-edged sword, because it's actually, you're taking a very, very leftover product. Okay, what does your bubble hash water have in it? Terpenes, flavonoids, THC, myrcene, fucking high hormone levels from your plant being finished. Also, dude, all kinds of other different shit. But it's just like, if you're straight up feeding that to your plants consistently in a fermented form, it's immediately available. The plant can uptake it, but it's concentrated, so you're not having to feed 5 gallons for a 5-gallon regiment. You can actually ferment it, concentrate it, and use 1 to 5 mils. So you just made 5 gallons into like fucking, let me think here, 15,000 gallons worth of food. And it's terpenes fighting off pests. It's late hormones helping the plant progress. It's THC feeding THC. And then you're also taking the straight up microbes from your last run, transferring them to your next run. And then when you have your next run, you pour out a quarter of it and add a quarter of your next batch. You just keep doing that. And all of a sudden you're starting to make almost like an IMO colonization. You're starting to add more and more different types. And then the bad guys start getting eaten. And then you have super nice concentrated mix. It's just like, dude, after a while, like you start realizing once you start dialing in your ferments and using them for so long, dude, they become so strong, nothing can touch them.
At the end of this, you can tell me if I'm crazy or not. But I gave a hypothesis of what people identify as that roadkill skunk, or driving through a neighborhood with your car, and smelling the skunk. I gave a hypothesis of the microbial life in a plant being able to indicate to other plants certain things that were going on in its environment, like animal predation. And in this case, maybe deer. So envision outdoor grow, you got that susceptible to deer predation. And deers naturally don't like the odor of skunk, right? Skunks will combat a deer encroaching on it by spraying it with its skunk spray. So through the inhabitants in this environment of natural inhabitants of the deer and the skunk coexisting, and you growing cannabis in this environment, do you think the microbes somehow initiate a response to the plant smelling more like skunk to deter the deer from eating the plant?
Have you ever seen a documentary, What Plants Talk About?
Yeah, that's a little bit where I got it.
That's exactly what it is, bud.
Yeah.
100%. Autoimmune response. It sends out a hormone that actually calls upon different prey to fight the pest that it's dealing with. But the environment has to be stable. If you're running brand new shit, you can't be like, no, we're just going to wait for it. Because again, it all depends on the time of season too. Because again, like if you're a commercial grower outdoors, you'll notice that even like, so I had a ladybug population in one of my crops, one of like the 700, or no, what was it? 1,300 plant field, like one of the three that was super abundant in ladybugs. There was something around that crop that, dude, there was like 15 to 30 ladybugs a plant, like naturally. It was awesome. But the second those ladybugs receded and actually went into dormancy and actually began their new cycle where they laid eggs, the old guys died off. The cannabis aphids came in because there was nobody to protect the plants. And then once the ladybugs re-inhabited and took over again, I'd already taken care of them, but there wasn't anybody to fight against. You know what I'm saying? Like they're a lot bigger and a lot stronger. But dude, on that scale, like, dude, it's funny because you can do sulfurs, oils, soaps, enzymes. Like whenever you're dealing with mites, you need oil. You need to rotate because every time they lay eggs, the next series that just popped up is now immune to what you just pretty well sprayed. But you also have to catch the adults before they lay the eggs. You have to spray them again to make sure that the eggs don't hatch. And if they do hatch, you have to catch them before they lay eggs again. And you would spray a third time. That way that they don't have a chance to lay eggs the third time. But you have to rotate. You normally go like oils, enzymes, like sulfur. Yeah. Well, sulfur and then beneficials. Yeah. Or you can rotate between the 5. But big scale, dude, if you're going to spray 5-6 different things to treat things, dude, you're going to have your guys spraying fucking 7 days a week for weeks. You know what I'm saying? Just rotate. And so you want to do what you can. But again, like, in my opinion, you do a contact killer, a wipe, a preventative, and then a reapply.
Mm-hmm. Well, what plants talk about, I'm glad you mentioned that. Eagle, that was when we talked about that the other day, when I kind of spewed that out. Ooh. That's the very first original thing I heard it from, is a documentary.
Dude, it's insane because, again, they have plants that are naturally evasive. So they start taking over different species. They actually start dropping seed and start like over dominating the space for canopy space. So they actually suck the light out of the air and suffocate the other plants out. There are certain plants that actually, the second that, so for instance, like if this, okay, I'm not going to even bring it to the cannabis world. Okay. So there is certain plants out there that certain pests are very well attracted to because they have saps and everything else. So like, say one plant gets ants. Some plants will actually put off a pheromone in the air that will actually call on a wasp. And a wasp will come up and actually start killing the ants on that plant, but it'll actually make it so the wasp is not interested in that plant at all, but it'll only be interested in that fucking prey that is attacking it. And then it'll actually try to put out pollen to be like, again, when you cut your grass, when you mow your grass and you smell it, that's the plant saying, hey, we've been fucked up. That's the self-defense mechanism putting out a hormone in the air.
Where do you think the plant brain, cannabis brain, plant brain is located? You think that's
the
something
first mycelial
transmuted?
spore, I feel like, because again, like that comes to the whole like what do you think is older? Do you think the first mushroom spore is older, or do you think the redwood forest is older?
Is there any bit of Wi-Fi? Do the plants work on a natural form of Wi-Fi?
It's more Bluetooth. No, definitely. It's the mycorrhizal fungi that transmits throughout the entire mycelial flora of the forest, 100%. But it actually, again, that's another thing that's really awesome about that documentary is they took a redwood forest, they took a seed that dropped from a mother plant, the seed started to sprout, they actually put hormones in the mother plant, tried to stress the sapling out, had a something that they could actually sense the hormones in that plant, like they could visibly or I don't remember how they could read it in the plant, but they're like, no, we can definitely see the uptake as like we look visually through the actual tree, we can see it. And then they came back a few weeks later and they stressed the sapling out that was right next to the mother, was not connected to the root structure or anything else, but just through the mycorrhizal colony that went from the forest floor to that sapling, the mother actually leached the hormones from it into the sapling to try to help it out because it was stressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, plants will compete like that. If you put two cannabis seeds, just two cannabis seeds in one little plot, one of them is going to outcompete and smash on the other. That's just
that's the thing is that's a very delicate subject right there, because if you run the same strain, the plants are built kind of the same, but they share the same medium, they can actually perform the same. But it definitely, if they're different strains, they drink differently, eat differently, one will definitely dwarf the other for sure.
Yeah.
Because actually, if you look through my page, I call it the tote tech, but it's the 27-gallon totes, but you run 2 plants per tote. They share 13.5 gallons per soil each, but they also share root space. So, but they don't compete. They're actually super flat canopy the entire time, but I do mainly one strain per tote at least. So they don't compete. They actually kind of coexist together. They're like, oh, you're alfalfa? Fucking sweet. We're alfalfa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Same in my experience.
Alfalfa was a pimp, dude.
Alfalfa is a pimp still, dude. That fool's been hanging his pimp hand for days.
I hate your stinking guts. You make me vomit.
Getting the cough out is coming up, man. It's up on the 15-minute warning, I guess.
I'm trying to replant this room, but I don't know if I have enough fucking plants to reset it yet. I might have to clone. That sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. Empty spaces, man.
It sucks because I normally fucking harvest reset like the same day, and I didn't have plants ready, so I had to harvest, let it sit. I had to wait for money to come in to re-amend. I harvested another room, amended, reset that one, and now I'm resetting the one before that one. But I'm like, fuck, I might actually have to clone to reset this one, and I need new bulbs and hoods in this fucking room. So, goddamn, I need to get on that shit. But me being hurt is not fucking helping at all.
Yeah, man. How are you feeling? I forgot to ask. I wanted to ask you that, dude. How are you feeling?
Rough day. That's all it is. That's normal in life, unfortunately. I got heart problems, and then when you fucking go too hard one day, you start fucking pulling muscles and shit. And yeah, I ended up tearing 3. That's not fucking fun.
On your shoulder from like shoveling or some shit?
No, I got one I tore the top of my pectoral muscle, like right above my nipple, pretty much. And then I tore a muscle in my rib cage, actually underneath my pectoral, on the bottom of my rib cage, and then one underneath my shoulder blade in my rib cage.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, so like I'm sitting here like I already have heart problems. My heart was out of whack, so my heart's like already kind of enlarged and inflamed. So I'm sitting here breathing and it's putting pressure on my heart, but yet my fucking muscles are killing me. So it's like just knocking the wind out of me. Oh fuck, yeah, it was rough. Still rough, but I'm still in the man. I still have shit to do. It's not gonna fucking. It's gonna slow me down, but it's still not gonna fucking pay the bill. So you do what you gotta do. Existence is pain. You just live with it, right?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Never.
Producing.
All right, go ahead.
Who out there's produced a lot of seeds before?
What was that?
Made a lot of seeds, like a large harvest. Did your whole harvest? That's seed to
I've
bud
done.
ratio. If anybody saw me hold that bud
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I've done a couple. I've done. Well, I did my male of my Dox OG back like 5 or 6 years ago, and then I just did the Han Solo Burger male. But I did like 32 strains the first time, and then like 7 strains or 5 strains the second time. But they're like already completely all sold out.
So my question is, when you have a large, what does the seed count account for in a plant if it wouldn't have been seeded? Is it more Is it more glands? Is it more?
So let's put it this way. So you have a plant that is a female that's in the WNBA. She's the all-star. She does fucking 60 points a game, right? Now that bitch is pregnant and she's 8 weeks pregnant. How you think she's gonna do playing? No. All her effort goes into making seeds. It doesn't go into being productive and being flashy and looking good. It goes into making babies.
Well, these did both. How about that? But anyway.
Oh, you can definitely do both, but it's not going to inhibit the trichrome content.
No, that's not what I was
saying. It's not going to hinder the growth, but you're not going to try to get bud. You're trying to get actual just seeds, unless you're select pollinating.
No, I'm saying, what if this didn't have seeds? What would the seeds be? Just more much more size?
Oh, you mean like if it did not pollinate that plant?
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder if there's something that it translates
definitely.
into.
So definitely. So if the plant was pollinated, it could have been anywhere from 10 to 50%. Okay, so it depends on the week of the seeds. If you get a pop, that's week 2 to 3. If you get white seeds, that's week 4. If you get full black seeds and striped seeds, that's week 5. Like done. So that means when the plant pollinated, that's how long it's been pregnant. So instead of it putting energy into making pretty buds and bulking and doing everything else, it's working on making seeds. It takes all the energy out of the plant.
Right, the seeds hold all the energy, Rez. Like that's
no, I'm still not saying that. I'm saying
that's the nutrients for the new
plant. So if that plant wouldn't have been pollinated, that plant would have probably produced at least 10 to 15% better.
They would have gone to the yield.
So let's put it this way: if you have a chick that is pregnant in the WNBA that produces 60 a game again, but then she gets pregnant and goes to 30 a game versus 60 a game, like she's still half her shit, still killer, but not even close to where she was.
Right.
Well, I couldn't get this question asked from a big breeder. They couldn't answer the question. Was we need to have it tested? I think none of you guys have ever had your weed tested at seeded. You don't test your seeded weed too at this point.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Okay,
like because again, like whenever
it's going to be by a factor of 4 to 6 times less potent.
Definitely, at least. But no, like especially like if you're growing big scale and something gets seeded, that shit still has to be tested to see what the THC, CBD, all that shit is, and if it's clean and all that shit. Because everybody doesn't, if it's seed or not, people still want to pick it up.
Oh, they're growing.
They still need to know what's in it. If it's seeded, they're like, dude, we have a marker for that. If it's not seeded, we have a marker for that. If it's just leaves and stems, we have a marker for that. Like they're looking for biomass. They're also looking, dude, when extractors come to you and go, dude, sweep your shop floors where you trim, we'll buy that because we can take the dirt out of it. Like, are you fucking thrilled? God damn.
The greasy seeds, man. They're greasy.
God damn.
Yeah, man. They grow some dank right there.
It's like the Hermie rate that increases when you start feminizing.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Why is that?
Well, if you take, so how does a seed normally feminize itself? So it feminizes an S1. So it comes from a regular pack of seeds, and it was more than likely either if it was stable, so if it never hermied before at all, ever grown for a while, then all of a sudden somebody grew it and threw light on it at one point, and it just was like, oh, well, we don't like this. So it started to try to make a male part that had female pollen and tried to pollinate itself. So all the seeds from that are females. There's a good old high time story that is Jack bought a pack of regular seeds, and then it went to seed, and he grew the seeds the next year. They grew up. They were all females. They grew big and tall, were bigger and better than the last plant, smell better. Some of them went to seed, and he grew those seeds the next year, and then half of them ended up just making seeds by themselves. And then the next year they were all seeds, because you can't go, you have to introduce a boy. If you go girl that makes a female, it's pretty much a girl that goes and gets donated semen, but only makes girls. And then the girl comes out and goes, I would love to be a boy. So they grow up and go, well, I would love to make babies. And then the babies go, I don't know what the fuck I am. But if you have something that's feminized in the line, but like say if you have a regular line and then you go regular feminized, so now the female rate is actually going to start raising versus the male rate, which is still might be fully stable. But it all depends on how you're actually feminizing. If you're using colloidal silver, if you're using a late Hermy, if you're taking something that is super stable and taking it like 16 weeks.
Yeah, but
let me hold on. Let me interject. Let me interject this real fast. Is the state of cannabis in the wild is intersex. Okay.
Yes.
So when you're introducing a hormone like interrupter type thing like silver, and you're spraying different females, you can measure how easy they are to reverse the male by traits. And that's an indication of telling you how much intersex traits are left in those genes or genotype.
That's interesting. Do you know about a couple different ways of feminizing? Like I know a handful of ways.
Yeah,
but,
this is across
we might
the
sit
board.
down and actually
This
talk
is
about like just
100%.
different. Okay.
This is 100% across the board, from doing it with any type of chemical that induces a hormone change, or anything from stress factoring. So the easier it is to make a female turn into a hermaphrodite indicates how much intersex genes she has.
Right.
So the harder it is to induce male stamen on a female indicates
The more stable it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, that's the shitty thing about feminized seeds is it all depends on what it's slept with. If it's got Hermes, guess what? You're gonna get fucking hepatitis.
But that's different than saying that all feminized seeds are going to be more likely to Hermy.
No, they're not though.
No.
So
that's not even the case at all.
You got to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice the low seed count. Say if you reverse some female that barely has any pollen sacs, and you're crossing it to either itself S1 or another phenotype, and you have a low seed count, that's actually a beneficial thing, because that says that female that got reversed is harder to throw off hermaphroditic or intersex traits, even by chemical induction.
Not interjecting, but at the same time, pheno different. Some phenos you get that are super heavy yielding everything else. But one thing that I have found with the feminized strains is if you buy regular seeds, boys and girls, you are 95% gonna get something that's stable, more than likely, unless it has some genetics in it that are feminized or has problems. If you take something that is normal or has any kind of problems and you feminize it, it's going to enhance that. But
F1 hybrid, say like if you're making something from that's so far distinct between like a lemon haze and a Bubba Kush, then those are going to be very stable, opposed to like an OG cross to a Chem Dog. Then you're going to get a whole lot more.
Well, exactly. Chem Dog is originally an S1, so it's a bag seed. That's where it came from. His Grateful Dead concerts. It's a bag seed, but the traits pass over. But if you grow them differently or correctly, they don't Hermy. So you can tailor them not to do that. It's just like cherry pie. Cherry pie doesn't even grow Hermy parts. It grows fucking male parts from fucking week 2 to 6. But it literally does not have that viable of pollen. So it actually only throws like, 6 to 10 seeds in the whole crop. So it kind of, but again, like if you have something that's regular and you cross that to a regular and then you cross that to a feminized, like you're going to end up with females, but if you cross that back to a regular, you're going to end up with higher female rate than male rate.
Here's a pro tip to breed stable varieties and hybrid vigor. If you pick two plants that are far distinct from their morphology, saying a tall, lanky plant with thin leaves and a very short, statured, wide leaf plant, and they both also display very far distinct different terpene profiles. Like one's extremely fruity, no fuel, and then one's extremely fuely, no fruit. Those two plants are going to make an actual pure, true hybrid, no matter how interbred or whatever modernized the genetics are. If you pick two distinct different morphologies and terpene profiles, they're going to form a hybrid that
not if your one that you pick is a recessive and the other one's dominant.
Exactly. Again, like that's like you have two white people and they have blue eyes and blonde hair and you end up with gingers.
But that's what I mean. You're not picking from the same gene pool. Like if
you're not picking from the same gene pool. No,
hold on. You can mistakenly pick from the same gene pool if we actually convince ourselves that the diesel terpenes in whatever ChemDog and sour diesel strains are some way related to the OG terpenes. If you're breeding OG to sour or ChemDog, you're intersex relating those plants versus far distinct terpenes like a super lemon haze and like a Bubba Kush, which have no relation to each other. If you cross a Bubba Kush to a super lemon haze, you're making a true hybrid. Versus
true, because again, there's like nothing really in it, and you're gonna have like pretty much five different variants. You're gonna have straight mix, the bubble leaner, and then the super silver haze leaner, and then the full leaners both sides.
Yeah.
Land race to land race.
Yeah. So that's just a way to right now, if we get convoluted in all the strains that we have, and we still need to look for hybrid vigor or just completely new phenotypes, you still have to make those crosses. Those short flowering, I forgot to add that too. Plants that flower in between 50 and 60 days. You cross those to plants that finish in 90 to 110 days. That's a complete new hybrid. You know?
Oh yeah, well again, Northern Lights, first pure indica, first pure sativa hybrid. That's another reason why everybody's breeding onto the Northern Lights right now, is because it fucking throws out so many different new expressions for everything. It's insane.
Where you're breeding to try to get a combination of the hybrid, the hybrid vigor. I like hybrid vigor.
Exactly. Well, again, like GMO. GMO is labeled GMO because of how fast it grew.
But if there's a perimeter that's been set, even if it has to be made by a standard degree that's written down and followed, to go back to go through so many stages so you can prove that you've done that, I'm okay with that too.
And imagine a GMO being crossed to something like a white Russian, right?
Oh, dude, or like a white rhino or a fucking like straight up old school ice.
Yeah. Who's a dog breeder? How many different parental changes do you have to make before the AK whatever will say, yeah, that's a new breed? How many,
Well, the AK-47 wasn't AK-47 just an Afghani leaner that was
the dog.
Well, the one you want to pick out of AK, and supposedly from Simon, he says you have to pick from 1,000, is the cherry AK, which I've had.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, I've had the cherry AK. I've had the AK-47 and the AK-48.
I was relating to the dogs.
The Chem Dog, Chem D, P Dog, all that.
Regular dogs, bark.
420. Regular dog. Oh yeah, dude. Well, that's the funniest part is that shit straight up fucking 100% translate when you're doing normal breeding with dogs for sure.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. So if I hand you my seed and I say, here's the lineage, then you know exactly what you got.
But at the same time, how many people get a dog that they buy for $50 and go, oh, I've got a girl over here that's a purebred, or my dog ran off and fucked this other chick.
Makes a great dog.
It's a good dog. I made a new hybrid, but it's gonna carry. Hopefully, it's gonna carry them traits.
Dancing.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Yo, shout out to the chat.
That's how they
With
I
us.
talked about this once before. That's how he made a goat. The goats I had to go through so much.
Fuck, man. Fucking. Oh, my left side is just killing me.
I don't see the chat right now, but I know they're riding with us. So everyone out there just watching us, shout outs to you.
Oh, fucking yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm breaking up some what it was told to me as peanut butter breath, but I don't believe that under the circumstance that I have this flower. So it's just
was that a nectar collector you were using?
I don't have a nectar collector now.
No, Smiley. Was that a nectar collector you were using?
Yeah. I just got this one. To try.
Okay. Nice. How do you like it?
It's all right.
Yeah.
It disassembles, so it's easy to travel, but it's glass, so I don't want to travel with it. So, like, I don't know.
Have you seen those electric ones?
Oh yeah, the dipstick.
Yeah.
Dude, if you can get a, what is it? Like I think it's like a 5 mil e-nail. You can hook that shit up to an e-nail. There's clips
Yeah, there's
that
like
go onto the actual like fatter piece, so you can set a temperature. Dude, you set a temperature, because again, that's the problem I hate with the nectar collectors, is you want to take a fat hit sometimes, and it kind of runs out of heat.
Yeah.
So if you can keep that e-nail on there, you're just sitting there like, just take as much as you want. Take a fucking puddle or a fucking slab and just hammer away.
Yeah.
Right. I definitely would agree with that. If you're gonna take a slab, a big hit. I like the nectar collector because I can control a nice little hit, and I don't have to have like if I heat a banger and I drop it in there, then you're just still hitting the motherfucker, right? Even though you're fucking coughing your lungs out, it's still smoking the shit up, like, I don't know. So this is, I don't know. I just think it's clean.
Yeah.
And the nicest thing about those fucking e-nails is you get like 10 of your fucking crew members that need to like, oh, we need to take a break to smoke. Dude, turn the e-nail on. Everybody walks up there. Like fucking 20 dabs in 10 minutes versus sitting there going, and then waiting a minute and a half. And then taking a dab and clearing it. And then the next person goes, and then everybody needs 3. You're like, taking an hour and a half to smoke. Holy shit.
Third world problems.
Third world problems for sure, right?
Oh man.
I can't smoke my weed fast enough. This is bullshit. Dude, you get to smoke weed? Lucky. Fuck you.
Wake up in the morning, pack the pipe, go. That's what it used to be.
All right.
What's the floral term?
The floral term would be
Floral
It's
term.
like rose. It's like rose.
There's a whole bunch of them. What you're smelling is mainly, like I said, my favorite of the terpenes, the terpene alcohols. It could be linalool, it could be geraniol, it could be cedrol.
You like
The
those?
terpene- Yeah.
Has anybody ever grown or smoked SR71 Purple Kush?
Nope, I've had purple kush, but I don't know what 71 is.
So it's more than likely it's the SR. Did it through like pretty decent sized buds, but it was purple. It's flying shit pretty well from day one.
No, mine was slightly tinted purple and mainly more like a average bud size, average bud consistency, sticky. But no, it just smelled like purple weed. Didn't have much of the purple color.
So this one is also labeled ultraviolet. It is actually famous from the club in Amsterdam, SR71. It's their pick of an Afghani, but it goes pretty well purple from day one. But it's like purple and potpourri. Like, it's not a very pleasant flavor in my opinion. It's fun to grow, but it's not very stable. If it has any kind of problems at all, it Hermes week 6. If it's perfectly fine, money in the bank, week 9. But it doesn't really throw much pollen. But it throws these big old fat fucking whopper buds on it. But like literally the undercarriage of the plant, like if you take a shot of the under leaves, they look like the T8 black lights, like the carnival ride black lights. I mean, it's fun. But actually, I just grew a cross of what is it? Orange Dreams. What was it? The Wet Dreams, which that cult classic ones. What was it? OG Kush Breath times Blue Dream on. I think it was like orange tree times orange SR71 purple Kush, but it tastes just like SR71 purple Kush. Pretty fucking indica, but no orange in it at all. It tastes all like SR71 purple Kush, but way stronger.
This OG will put you right into bed, man.
Oh man,
Coast to coast, man. Everybody knows he's got it, right?
Oh man, I just finished a room of my Triangle Kush, the Donny Burger, Garlic Breath, GMO. Like I just have some heavy hitters, man. I'm like, whoo! And then I did the Orange Dreams, and I was like, whoo, whoo, whoo. I was like, dude, I'm smoking the OGs of OGs, and then I grew these the best I've grown them, and like, I'm like, fucking, this one is indica as shit though. Like, goddamn.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna jump off, guys. It's fucking that time. I don't know if Eagle's in or out or what he's doing. But
yeah, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I just dipped in to say hi to the chat, say what's everybody's doing. Figured to poke Smiley for a second, make him laugh.
Always, man, good times. Yeah, he's not.
All right, man.
Close, so I don't know.
But you guys have a wonderful night. Hope all your plants yield heavy on our greenish shit. So have a wonderful night, guys. Peace.
Yep.
There you
Peace
go. Good night.
Later, man. I'm jumping out too. Peace, everyone. Get some rest. If you're resting, if you're working, be safe out there.
Have a good one, Rez.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Eagle. The Eagles landed.
Dude, I ain't even gonna try to do shout outs tonight, man. This thing's went out too many times. And I know as soon as I get partly way through it, it's gonna go start playing its game. And I'm not repeating the list tonight because it dropped falling out of me.
Say it now. Say it. You know we love you all.
There you go.
Big hugs.
Good night. Love you all, guys.
Yep.
Shout out to everybody.
Hey, if anyone does recipiate this, this was a pretty good episode to tune into if you want some like K&F tech, what this plant does and that plant does. I don't know. I feel like this is a good information episode. If you can receive this, if this isn't like black holed from the stupid YouTube Google hole, this was a fun episode. I felt like a lot of good information was passed through from everyone. So
Absolutely.
that might be the reason why it's going to be hard to find.
Hopefully it's not. We need to get Smiley's episode back out of fucking the black hole. That sucks. That sucks, brother.
I honestly, man, I'm more bummed for Josh. That was kind of his first time on too. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. That sucks.
Hopefully we can get him back on because it was a great episode. A lot of good information. What's bummer is I always kind of look at the organics takeover as a little bit of a night off or a chance to take a few minutes off, but I always end up sitting right here listening and learning and hanging out in chat. So thank you, brother. I always learn shit, man, when the takeover's on.
Thank you, man. I always learn shit. It's an opportunity for me, so I appreciate the thought you asking me to. So, because I wouldn't have considered even doing it, honestly. So, that's
well,
cool.
brother. It was
Awesome. That's good hanging out, man.
Yep.
Easy, guys.
All right, guys. I'm peacing out. Thanks to you, Eagle. Thanks to Smiley. Thanks to Rez. Thanks to everyone else that was in the chat. Jack Greenstock. Who else popped in here? I don't know. I'm World's
Cannon
Last Hope.
Trooper, World's
Cannon
Last Hope,
Trooper.
you,
Yeah, okay. So shout out to
Smiley.
everyone. I love all you guys. You guys are awesome. And shout outs to everyone in chat. And I'll see you guys on another one. Okay? So peace out.
Have a good one, Red Bill. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you guys. Peace.
Thank you guys for tuning in tonight, episode 331. Sorry about the not shout outs, but I'm telling you, I've been here all night long with my camera off, and I've been bouncing in and out all night long from internet problems. My landline's still not up. I don't know what in the fuck is going on with my internet connections, but I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in night after night, man. You guys are some amazing people for sure. Please join me tonight. Let me look real quick, see who is tonight. Man, March is almost halfway full already. Cheddar Bob 13. Cheddar Bob 13. I just seen you in chat. Are we confirming you are gonna be here tonight? Let me see here. Scroll right there. You are in chat. Cheddar Bob 13. Are we confirming, Cheddar Bob 13, that you will be my guest tonight, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 Pacific Standard Time? Me and Cheddar Bob will be here. Are we confirming, Bob? Are we confirming? Hopefully that is true. That is what will be happening tonight. So thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you tonight nonetheless. Yes, there it is. Here, hopping in and out of the background. You guys know the routine. If this is the end of your day, please get some rest. If this is the beginning of your journey for this amazing, hopefully amazing Thursday, do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. I'm a living, breathing example of that. One at a time, we can change each other. All together, we can change the world. You guys have a great night.